So yeah, welcome back to Citizen Sleeper. Yesterday we helped the refugees get some supplies in, and today my goal is I wanna try and finish this game. I wanna try and do the. I know there's at least one more quest for the refugees, but I think there were like 3 quests in total that were like bonus content. I hope I have all of them. We shall see. But yeah, I wanna do that, and then another thing I want/can do. Is there is the ship still where we wanted to, decide Ray Horizon, where we wanted to board, or not we, but Lam and Mina, not Mia, wanted to board that to, hopefully get a better life on another star system, another newfound colony. And I, of course, want to help them, so that is what we're on our way to do right now. And yesterday we also helped the person that had the Bay Bliss. We helped them to fix up some ships, and then they left with Ankita, the person that shot the other sleeper a while back. Which, if they get happy in leaving, then that's good, but yeah. Okay, let's see if we can find a way on board the side rail. Quite the achievement, isn't she? Sandra Sailors must be proud. You recognized the resonating voice of Castor immediately, and turned to see him, hooded and tucked into the shadows near the viewing platform. Castor. I see, you remember. Okay, good. He looks around, but the platform's clear. I'm afraid you have to wait for a rematch. Microgravity makes travel a little difficult. He smiles broadly. He's the guy that we played chess with. Or not chess, but like, the like game, the board game. Castor walks out, standing beside you on the platform. The telltale clank of magnetic boots accompanies his slow crossing. He notices you looking at them. I don't much like it up here, he explains. I hear there was some trouble at the Havenard shipyard when they announced the results of the crew lottery. They screwed us. I know, he sighs, meeting your eyes. An ugly business. Sailors are too used to the way things work on the core. Exploitation is the only logic they know. He gestures out at the side rail. You know why they built this monstrosity on the eye? Control? Certainly. There is no corporate oversight on here, but that's not all. He stares at the pristine yellow hull. Also money. Sailors built it here, says Castor gravely, because they didn't want anyone to know it exists. He rubs his forehead. And secrecy is something I cannot abide. He turns to face you. There are people being loaded onto that ship as we speak. Sleeping people, locked in cryosleep, like the person that you were emulated from. There are hundreds of them, and Silas wants to send them out to a planet at the edge of the settled systems without anyone knowing where it is. But you, Sleeper, can do something about that. You're like me. You deal with data. You can read it right off the air. With someone like you on that ship, secrecy isn't a problem. You can ping back whatever I need it. As long as you are on board. If you're on the side ramp with some minor modifications, he pauses, you can be my eyes and ears. I will keep track of Silas' grand project to you. I never planned on going on that ship. In short, says Castor, stretching, I can get you aboard, Sleeper, but I'm going to need your help me. The thing is, I want Mina and Lem to be here, but yeah. In short, says Castor, stretching, I can get you aboard, Sleeper, but I'm going to need you to help me. I'm a concerned party, someone who likes to know what is happening when it's happening, not afterwards. The thing is, I'm not going, but I want me and them. So it's not just me. Yes, your friend Lem. That can be arranged. It's difficult, but not impossible. The condition is, of course, that you go too. Ah, shit. Castor Clux goes into the window watching the Valk wheeling around the side rail. It's a simple offer, and the only one that will get you on that ship. Please consider it. He turns back, silhouetted against the ship. But to make it happen, I need your assistance, as I said. There is a Sealess Foundation ship docked on the now empty shipyard. I need the data from its servers. This will allow me to produce the these necessary for your transit. Kester looks over his glasses at you. Sealers aren't stupid enough. The ship is totally isolated from the station. You need to get on board if you want to access their air-world servers. Once you have the data, meet me at your friend's unit so we can give him the good news. He smiled. I noticed its importance to you and the little one. So cute. You don't extract the data before the Citral Horizon leaves the hub. Then I will get the message. We have other options, but you're certainly my preferred one. Be sure when you act, Sleeper, once you take the data from Sealers, you set off a series of events that will likely be hard for you to untangle yourself from. Either way, I recommend you stop asking around here. You are bringing in a lot of attention to yourself. Caster glances around, as if emphasizing his point. There are only a handful of cycles until departure, Sleeper. Make your decision. If that, Caster marches back off the platform, the sound of his Mac boots fading away, leaving you to contemplate on the Citral Horizon and the part it may play in your future. The thing is, we cannot leave without stabilizer. We will die. So we cannot leave. Sheer fact. But we can... in fact, help Mia and Lem. Oh, we should be able to. Okay, I guess shipyard time. But yeah, we are not gonna go. And I mentioned that from the beginning, but I so want those two to go. Like, I really hope Mia and Lem can find a good new life. There it is. Okay, we cannot do the other one, that's okay. There we go. Okay. Need to extract the data. So let's rest here. Let's do this. This is one of the things I want to finish, but I really want to stay here. I just want the two of them to go. But also the one thing is, like, they're not gonna be in cryosleep. The eye. Station at the edge. It hits you like a wave, a wide edge breaker, roaring inland with the force of the entire ocean. The impact is a screaming brightness, blanking out everything. Behind it is silence. You float in silence, suspended. No, you don't float. You are this silence. It has filled you up. It has emptied you out. You cease to exist. Time passes through. You don't feel it passing. Then something flickers in the silence. And then something moves. That something is you. You open your eyes to a metal ceiling of flickering lights. You feel the floor around you, patting with shaking hands. You assemble an image of yourself lying on your back in a corridor. You shake off the silence and sit up. What was that? You glance around, looking for a sign of something changing. Damage on the wall, shouts in the distance, fire and fear. Nothing has changed. The silence sits around you like fog. You try to think, furrowing your brows. How do you think again? Doesn't seem so easy anymore. You force the pathways to light up, the databanks to grant access. You feel like a function drive, starting up after a long shutdown and cold vacuum. And the silence was negation. A disassociation, so absolute that electrons shed their tethers and considered new paths and orbits. All things were possible, but none could be achieved. It was only a moment, but in that moment time ceased to function. A memory image comes to you, one from the moments before the wave hit. You squint as you imagine it, trying to cohere its blurry form. A broken skeletal ring, the eye, and in a vast arc approaching it, a razor-edge white curve. The wave. The reason probably people are leaving from the places they did. The wave approaches the eye. The eye spins, turning each part to face that vast white edge. You recognize the skeletal data cloud forms, the bright mark, the low end, the green weight, the waste. Then the wave hits just as the flotilla. The cordon turns to face it. And after that, everything's silent. You open your eyes again. That is the epicenter. But of what? Interesting. That is the continuation of the story of the thing that will happen. 53 cryo is a lot, so we got the data. Now let's go, so to visit Castor. When you arrive at Lem and Mina's unit, Castor's already waiting outside, leaning beside the door. Forgive me, sleeper, but Silas is already buzzing with news of the breach. I was expecting you. Will this work? Don't worry, the breach cannot be traced to the specific IDs I am about to create. Castor reaches into a pocket and produces a sleek green and white hand terminal. The data, please. Hand it over. You hand over a drive with the data, and Castor fishes around for a converter cable to hook it up. He slots it into the terminal, and after some worrying, a set of 2 transparent films marked with a numeric sequence are produced. 2 tickets to an uncertain future, Castor smiles to himself. The side will go with Lem, of course, he pockets them. These are yours, but first, he holds out a white cube. You side of the deal. What is it? Something to help us make use of you. He passes you the square and you rest it in your palm. Small, white, perfect cube. Suddenly you feel sharp pain and flinch. The cube jumps from your hand and rattles along the walkway. You look at Castor apologetically. Castor smiles. Not to worry, it has done its job. Now it's for you to do yours. You look down and see a tiny pinprick in the center of your palm. Nothing sinister, Castor puts the terminal away. This way we can keep track of you in the side rail. Didn't agree to this. You did, sleeper, Castor adjusts his glasses. You have to understand that I could have done this without you knowing. This way everything is on the table, so to speak. Yeah, the thing is, we are not gonna leave with the side rail. We are doing this for Lem and Mina, even if it means that Castor aids us. We are not gonna go. Castor hands you the transparent films, and you see shimmering portraits of you and Lem flickering beneath the surface. Go, give them the good news, and he reaches across and buzzes the unit. Lem slides open the door, half-dressed in gear. Sleeper, what brings you up here? Come in! He beckons you outside. You look to the side, expecting to see Castor, but the wall is empty. The unit is cleaner, better organized than last time. Lem sits at the thin bar and gestures for you to sit. Mina's with some of the local kids. Someone has started doing lessons down the way. She seems to like it. Sit at the bar. What's up, sleeper? I have some news. Out with them, Lem laughs. I have Silas IDs for us. You have... How? He blinks rapidly as if to wipe you from his vision. Does that mean... Yep. Lem stands up and paces around the unit. We have to pack. He starts laughing. Holy shit, we have to pack. Turns back to you smiling. How the hell did you swing this, sleeper? I made a deal. What deal? Color me impressed. You show him the ID films and he whistles at the portraits. Impressive stuff. He pats you on the shoulder. You should stay until Mina gets home. We can tell her together. I have to go. Of course, well, if we need to do anything, give me a shout. He smiles warmly and then impulsively hugs you. I see you on the big day, alright? Take care of those passes. He laughs again. Nothing in particular. You get up and go, looking one last time for Castor as you exit the unit. But he's still gone. When you look, the cube doesn't seem to be where you dropped it. You walk back to the low end. It sounds muffled and your ears deep in thought. The thing is, we are not gonna board the ship, no matter what I say. He gave us the tracker, but we are not gonna board it. Fact. Thank you for the hydrate, Redeem. Very much so appreciated. Okay. So we have to wait for that. But yeah, I'm not gonna go. I can't go. That's the problem. I don't have enough stabilizer or anything to protect me from falling apart. Like, I can leave with them, sure, but it will never end well. Wanted to see, considering what just happened. Yep, there. Peaked. Even before you reach the cordon, the damage is obvious. The blinking red lights, the drones, the fog's all gone. Half the cordon's frame has also been thrown away, perhaps through the impact of some failing ship. People push past you in the corridor, both Havanach staff and contractors, clearing the cordon. Push forward. You push through the flow of people and, despite a few suspicious looks, they offer no resistance. The further you pass into the cordon, the less people you see. You can see few sections have been closed off, the bulkhead doors sealed and red warning lights punctuating the corridors, but otherwise most areas seem functional. Suddenly you feel a hand fall on your shoulder. Havanach security? You should have known better than to wander into this place. You brace yourself as you turn. Sleeper! Peek embraces you as you turn. What are you doing here? Did you see the cordon go down? Did Ash speak with you? Peek glances around and you can see their panic. Where is Ash? I have no idea, Peek runs a hand through their hair. I was away from the ship, and when I got back she'd taken it and gone. Then I saw the damage on the cordon. Peek looks at you with wild eyes. What if there's some Havanach attempt to clear the flotilla, to scatter the refugee ships? It isn't, Peek pauses. What do you know, Sleeper? Something at the station. Peek looked incredulous. Hit, Sleeper? We'd all be dead if that was the case. They paused to think. Maybe not an object, but a shockwave? Signal, an EMP, would have taken up most of the station, but... Peek runs a hand through their hair. I don't know what you're saying, Sleeper. That doesn't sound... Look way down the corridor for a moment. Look, I have to find Ash. I'm sure he felt something, but we can't talk about that later. They set off down the corridor. I can't sit around talking any longer. Find me on the flotilla. I'm going to find a way to Ash no matter what. With that, they rush away into the depths of the cordon, leaving you behind. Seems like you need to follow if you want to get any answers. To scrap components to cross the cordon, huh? We can do that. But yeah, whatever that was is probably the wave that caused people to leave. Wherever that came from, whatever that was. Meh. I mean, it's better, but it's still not good. Maybe we can use that. I hope we can. I find a small shuttle scavenging supplies from the cordon, so let's use that to cross. The flotilla. Let's do this and hope we get positive or neutral for hauling supplies. Okay, that's good. Positive. So we're gonna help the flotilla. Whatever that was clearly is an issue. And doesn't seem nice. And yeah, we obviously... we had them so far, so, you know, why not help the refugees more? And it's not their fault that things happened. It's not Havanach's fault that things happened. It's something else that hit, a storm of, like, data or something. Someone told me I should be thanking you. The voice comes from behind you, cutting through the chaos of crowded caverns. You freeze. Thank you for taking care of Floof Floof. Let the dragon be happy. Don't be afraid now. Been hunting you. Sure, but for all the best reasons. You turn to see bright eyes set in a rough face, framed in rusted metal. So the leader that the others were actually talking with. What an interesting, like, space helmet design. I love the designs in this game, they're so fun. So, he holds out his hand, the other clamped firmly around the knotted wooden cane. Shake his hand. He grips you firmly with a heavy and calloused hand. Forgive me. As soon as I saw you, I knew who you were. Phil puts a hand on your shoulder. I've been told the Sleeper was part of that supply run that came in several cycles ago. He nods. A very welcome act, and we thank you for it. Walk with me, sleeper, so sets off to the bay, his powerful suit hissing and creaking as it helps carrying him through the busy crowd. You notice people making way for you and so standing back and letting you pass. You pass a makeshift kitchen, steaming pots and heating elements. A restless queue. Someone has to do it, other than you're not that often in chat anymore, so you don't know if people do it. Sometimes, but not that often. Indeed, not that often. Past makeshift kitchen, steaming pots and heating elements, a restless queue collecting metals. That algae that came through isn't exactly a full meal, but with what we have here, we've been able to make it work. You see a ladle of greenish stew dished out. The color is something, isn't it? So it smells. So it leads you out of the larger bay into a corridor lined with storage rooms that are now serving storms. You see someone filling a metal container from... Filling. I totally can read. Filling a metal container from a standpipe. The water gushing out readily. Sol nods to the person as he passes. Just a little further now. Sol leads you into a freight elevator and whistles to some unseen operator to start it up. It jerks into life, and as you pass through the layers of the ship, you see people on every level, supplies crammed into every available space, and sparks sleeping in burst as the ship is reshaped and modified to sustain its population. Yes. Thank you. Hope work went well and all that kind of stuff. If ever not were expecting an exodus from the flotilla, the flux event has put a stop to that, so stretches. Some have crossed to the eye, but many just to go gather salvage or score a hot meal. So the pressure on our supplies is shrinking, but not like I'd hoped. With the flux reacting all the way out here, people are starting to understand that our journey might not be over. So stares screamingly ahead. Suddenly, the freight elevator screeches to a halt, and so leads you slowly out into a wide room of chairs and terminals, rigged by a mezzanine and with a glass roof above, showing the distant hub, in the far curve of the eye beyond. The people at the terminals nod to him as he enters. Stay silent. Quiet, sir, huh? So nods. I don't mind, I prefer to settle in with my thoughts too. To looking after the pilgrim seats and all the souls on it means I rarely get the chance to. So looks around the bridge of the ship, a plain and pained expression on his face. I'll admit that the responsibility isn't one that suits me. Though we rarely get to choose such things, he glances back at you. But you, sleeper, from what I understand, you chose to try to help us here, is that right? I did my best to. So not silently. But I have to ask you, sleeper, why are you here now? So leads back and you feel his eye on you, assessing you. The flux event. I appreciate the honesty, I had figured as much. So flexes the shoulder that is free of the suit. Looking at you now, I can see that an event like that, well, it would have had a big impact. He smiles a half smile. I have thousands of people here on the pilgrim sleeper, and there's thousands more on the flotilla. He leans against the railing. A lot of them are looking to me to provide some future for them, some path out of this dead end we've got into. And the cycle, this very cycle, the thing we've been running away from, just caught up with us. So these people are scared, sleeper. They are looking to me for reassurance. And then on the same cycle, someone tells me they see you on board. Sleeper, the same sleeper they reckon that wanted so strongly to send a ship past the cordon to see us. So scratches beard. So the first thing I want to do was thank you for that, for your interest. He pauses. But the second thing I want to do was find out what you want from us. So Suit hisses and creaks. I think that's fair, don't you? So takes a deep breath. So what is it? Tell me about the flux. Someone at the terminal calls out to Sol and he shouts some orders back. He turns to you. Apologize. He smiles that half smile. I tell you what, sleeper, let you and me make a deal. You want information, I understand that, but I have a list of needs longer than the rim of the eye itself, he grimaces. So you do some things for me, and then we can talk about what's been happening in the system, and I will answer all your questions, and then some. I may be the captain of the Pilgrim Seat, and she's certainly the biggest ship in this flotilla, but I'm not the only captain here. We have ships here from each of the moons. We're from Ember's Heart, but there's other ships from Ember's Song, and even Ember's Step. The moons have been at each other's throats, sleeper, what with the pressure of the flux, the bad blood from the old days. So Linson, we aren't exactly all in alignment. What I need is a way to stop things escalating, for the crews on these ships and their captains to feel happy and comfortable enough to forget old rivalries and past crimes. He flinches at something. Just remember Step. Well, they've always been proud, but that pride seems to be a barrier to compromise right now. The last set of supplies isn't away, they refused. Meanwhile, I have a supply shuttle at the dock access the Ember Song ship gathered at, but they have taken far too many cycles to unload. Maybe if you're heading that way, you can look into them. I'm not a politician, Sleeper, but if I don't... So stops, still inspects and flexes, his suit screeching. He grunts a little and you see the weight of the flotilla sitting on his shoulders. The suit and the only thing keeping him vertical beneath all that pressure. Look, you see for yourselves if you go. Meet the other Sleeper. See what they need. Keep them aligned. He speaks through the pain in his voice clipped. I understand. I hope, Salt grins grits his teeth. You're what you appear to be, Sleeper. He smiles a soft smile despite the pain. Because I'm not sure I can take any more bad news. Plus, there's plenty to be done here on the Pilgrim Sea, too. If you have a moment to pinch in. There's never enough around here. That's something I've learned the hard way. So settles into his cane, the pain visibly receding. Alright, I have 1,000 things to attend now, Sleeper, so you have to find your own way out. And with that, Sol sits at his terminal, slow and careful movements. You head back down the freight elevator. As you do, you see again the layers of chaotic life in this vessel, and all the vessels of the flotilla hold. Just out of curiosity. Doesn't seem to be too much of anything though. Okay, negative? Ouch. That's okay. You can give them some supplies. I need to use one of my stabilizers for the next cycle. I'm going to keep 5 for... just because. Okay, but also that gives us the thing. So finds you deep in the layers of the Pilgrim seat, working on a patch for life support wind. You hear him coming, his suit hissing as he does. I had to ask around to find you, he smiled. Seems you know the place better than me these days. Put in the time. And we thank you for it, so holds out a hand. Stand up, let me see you. He pulls you to your feet. Don't believe I ever had a sleeper on Lambert's Wharf. So looks up, you up and down. You sure do make me wish we had. Could have done with a few workers as good as you. Thank you. So nods. You're welcome. Seems like I owe you some answers, seeing as you've been working hard on the Pilgrim seat these past seconds. He leans against the crate, his suit cracking. What do you want to know? The flux. So signs. That's what I imagined. He scratches his beard. Can't say I'm an expert, but I can tell you what we witnessed on Hearth. Trisweek noted. A few farms had their automation systems linking out. Lifter suits locked up, butts reset their schedules, nothing we hadn't seen before. But the news came out of Passero, and they'd been hit harder. The local network had gone down, and no one could get it back up. It was rough for a while, but out in the farmland, we were used to that. Passero? Capital for tens of thousands of souls made it their home. So grimaces. Anyway, we thought the flux was a freak event until the day they got to the network running again. That's when the cascade happened. Systems after system corrupted, data lost, then another flux hit, and another. The bots were running circles on the field. People had to be cut off of lifter suits like mine. And the city, I never saw it, but I heard it from the outsiders. Soul shivers. Then you got worse from here. We couldn't seem to fight it. Cut us right open. That's what I know about the flux. Some folks say it came from the inner system, that it might be connected to some old tech there or something, but I never heard anything more than rumors. So scratches their beard. Sorry, I didn't have better news. So shifts the crate. Anything else you want to ask? There was something. So not. What do you want to know about? You. So squints at you. You want to know about me? I'm not sure that was part of the deal. I wasn't thinking of Sleeper, unless you are asking about this. He raps on the metal of his suit. In case you haven't guessed, this is the only thing keeping me vertical. He adjusts the shoulder piece. It's a lifter suit, made for working in the field. I had to modify it so I could walk around after the accident. And that's all I'm saying, Sleeper, because to be honest with you, I don't owe you more than that. You want to know about the flux? About Embassard? Go ahead, but don't pry into my life, and I won't pry into yours. So, let the silence sit, staring hard at the floor. The suit seems to loom over him, looking more like a burden than a support. With the bars around his head, you suddenly start to think of it as a cage. Look, I don't mean to be rude. Let's leave it here. There's too many eyes on me on this trip as is. I'd rather just slip into the background. Thank you very much. So shifts on the crate. Anything else you wanted to ask? So nods. What do you want to know? Embassard. Sure, he smiles. I mean, I spent my whole life on that work, so I have plenty to tell. Save my life story for another time, he winks. But the short of it is that Embassard is the first of Ember's moods. The biggest and most populated, which is down to the successful terraforming systems Cybele set up, back when Solheim owned the system. Oops. Hold on. I just felt something fall, and yes, I was right. Oops, good thing I noticed. The only thing I don't know where it is now is the charm. Apparently my necklace on the clasp broke. Damn it. I need to find the charm that was on there though, because I only have the necklace right now. Oh, there it is. Let me see real quick. Okay, the necklace itself, it's fine. It's literally just the clasp, it seems. The spring is fine? Okay, I think I can repair this. I will do that after stream. So what happened is basically it has one of those like round loop hooks to like lock it shut, and apparently the like thinner metal bit on the inside just completely like bent outwards. Yeah, at least I found it. At least I felt it. I think what happened is that because like I mean I'm wearing it like pretty long times, but yeah, I think what happened just now is that like the warm pillow that sat on there like held it in place, or else it would have fallen off before that. And I just sifted it, so yeah. Okay, how's the relation with humans? So yeah, I'm glad it happened now and not while I was out today or something. Could have. But yeah, it's fine. I have enough like things to repair this if I have to. And like if it's not repairable, I have enough replacements for the hook, so hopefully it should be okay. So smarts. Depends on who you've been talking to. You shouldn't mistake me for a politician, Sleeper. That's for others too. He gives you a look. But Ember's Step was the test ground for the terraforming tech that Harv is built on, while Ember's Song was the extraction site for the raw materials and energy needed to make it work. You can imagine it might lead to some tension. However, Sol holds up a hand. Despite that people might say, Hart was never fully stable. Sol shakes his head. Cybele liked to talk it up, but after they pulled out and Solheim left, or people discovered they have to keep the system running themselves on the place, would soon end up as dry as Step. Hard was good as long as the evaporators kept running, kept filling our skies with clouds. Even after the collapse, our people kept those things going, turning that subsurface ocean into a periwinkle blue sky. Sol smiled. Flux ended that though. When they failed, the rains failed, and the harvest with it. Sol pauses. And soon you have a city without a way to feed itself. Sol shudders. That's when some of us, made the decision to set out on this place. He gestures at the pilgrim seat. And look for another future. Sol shifts on the crate. Anything else you wanted to ask? I'm good for now. You sure? Sol smiles. I'm sure. Sol stands flexing against the suit. He takes his cane in his hand. Keep it up, Sleeper. He smiles and leaves. You're making me think I need to start making new plans for this place. With that, Sol leaves, and you wonder what it means. As he creaks away down the corridor, you can't help but feel there's more to him than it seems. Oh, there's 100% more, but also we need to... but we have to interact with the thing that is blinking. Peak, huh? So welcome to the Bay of Climbing Briar. The familiarity of the space overcomes any trepidation. It feels good to be back. And the return feels earned, especially after all the work it took to figure out the route through the flotilla jumble of ships that might lead you to this blue street. You see Ash and Peak immediately sitting at the back of the bay, deep in conversation. Their closeness causes you to stop, suddenly aware that you might be interrupting something private. Peak is gesturing wildly as Ash stares out into the middle distance, hunched over. As Peak tries to get her attention, she spots you. Sleeper, Ash nods. Incredible work back there, she smiled. Sorry I couldn't wait for you and Peak, but the moment I saw the cordon go down, I had to get it in here. Peak shakes their head, leaping before looking as usual. Peak smiled, but I'm glad we're all reunited. To be honest, Peak adds, can't believe it. The Flex event knocked the entire cordon system offline. The flotilla is free and Havenot are backing off. Peak smiles at you. It must be our good luck charm. It's not a good thing. In this case, Ash stands, I have to agree with the Sleeper. The Flex may have brought me my freedom, but the cost for the flotilla system is significant, and if Havenot weren't panicked enough, Ash glances off into the distance. What exactly is happening? Hard to tell, some kind of disruptive wave that only affects electrical systems, Peak clips him. Typical systems are screened against radiation and interference, but this seems to be dulled, but not stopped by those defenses. Basically, the crisis continues. The cordon may be down, but this brings a whole other set of problems. Ash paces away. You should tell them, Ash. Peak glances at her. Please. Ash doesn't respond. Tell you what? You stare at her back, waiting for a response. Please, Ash, haven't they shown they can be trusted? Peak nods towards you. Ash turns her arm folded tightly across her chest. She goes to start and then stops. You can see the anger in her eyes, but you realize it's not directed at you or anyone else. She's angry with herself. I brought weapons to the flotilla, she pauses, and now they're gone. You suddenly remembered the silk crates that were tucked into the bay, marked with a yellow sigil, the ones Ash told you were just supplies. What do you mean gone? What do you think? Ash snaps. Someone lifted them from the ship's bay while I was unloading the supplies, she sniffs. At least they're in the hands of the flotilla now. Peak looks at you. She knows this was a bad move, Sleeper, I promise you. They glance back at her. She's just too proud to admit it. So what now? Peak looks at Ash. She finds them and she gets them back. Shouldn't we help? Ash turns. It's okay, Sleeper. I don't want anyone get mixed up in this. It's my responsibility. She looks away. Plus, Peak adds, you and I have the work to do. I want to understand the flux, Sleeper, to study it. Peak's eyes light up. This thing is changing the entire system, causing problems across inner systems, driving refugees off ember moons, and now it's here. If we don't do something about it, Peak pauses, it's a problem for all of us. I can see more immediate problems, Ash sniffs. Peak ignores her. I've been looking at the networks, and when the flux event hit, it changed things. It shuffled systems, corrupted nodes, and broke open data stores. They take out slate and show you a flickering polygon. Some of these flux nodes have appeared near the epicenter of the event, but I can't get access. You, however, I saw the way you work with data when we were preparing for the run. I think you can get into these things. I want you to find the flux node and bring me anything you can extract. They come and go, but most can be found on the barely functioning networks of the wastes. Pete pauses. Start there. Perhaps together we can find something that might point us to what the flux is and where it comes from. Okay. They smile. I knew you'd agree. Ash looks indignant. Don't waste too much time chasing ghosts, Sleeper. There are people on this flotilla that need any help they can get. I'm sure Sleeper can do both, Ash. Peak smiles at you. I see you here when you have something. Good hunting. And they wave you out as Ash stomps away to make plans of her own. Yeah, that's about what I expected to happen. Thank you for the stretch, team. I mean, it was clear that when an event like this happens and it affects all the data storms, that of course we have to go in there and figure out what it is. Because whatever it is could be quite interesting for us too. Like, we don't know if it's actually a bad thing for us. Or not. Like, we have not found any of that out yet. Okay, we have an active scene somewhere. That's a bit annoying because I have the feeling that will be the ship thing. And again, I don't want to leave. Nah, nothing here. It's up top. Damn it. I don't want to go onto the side rail, I want to help them. Though I do want me on them to leave. This one will take a while still, so that's not it. Then what is? Is there like something in here? Okay, the fax node does need access protocol, so that's not it. Something somewhere deeper into the thing that I missed. Oh, yeah, there's. Okay. Two things actually. Aki. Flotilla's ship. Strange sight gives you time spent on the greenway to. Given your time spent on the greenway to see a greenhouse choked in red dust. Paddles up along edges, gathers in curving waves, and is carried by some unseen wind to well in front of the glass ceiling. It's a desert in miniature, a captured landscape of iron-rich sediment and unseen life. Beautiful, isn't it? The remark comes from another figure standing at the young window, so quietly that you hadn't noticed them. Did they just arrive, or were they here before you were? Their cloth swaddled form revealed still. It is. They say nothing. You catch a glimpse of a pale face among the thick material, dark eyes glittering in the red reflected light. They turn to you as the dust swirls. Aki, they smile a tight smile. You're not from the flotilla, am I right? I lift on the eye. But that's not where you're from, she stares into the greenhouse. Everyone is from somewhere, whether they wish to be or not. The red dust glitters in her eyes. Whatever, it is a good place to be from or not. Aki gathers her cloth around his shoulders against the cold. What brings you to the wind's long shadow? So sent me. Aki doesn't respond. She looks absent-mindedly at the dust. You're the strange one. Aki raises an eyebrow. I don't know where to report you or send you back to where you came from, she smiles to herself. We're just nowhere at all. You glance around the empty corridor, suddenly aware of how quiet it is on the ship. Unlike the other ships you have been on the flotilla, there's a silent order to the wind's long shadow. In this moment it feels unsettling. What happened here? Aki squints. That's a broad question, and I'm not in the mood to recount the history of the ship or Step. Aki turns away, irritated, eager to change the subject. You hear a creak as sets of shutters slowly begin to close across the glass ceiling of the greenhouse. As you watch, you feel the dissonance this place has with what world. There's nothing green here. A dust toss, perhaps. It takes many systems to preserve this landscape, Aki begins. To simulate the wind cycle, the dust, the layer, the sand, dirt beneath. You watch the dust swirling. Systems that are failing. The flux event. Aki glances at you for a sign of recognition at this term. It's eroding our ability to keep this place alive. So keep these traces of Step alive. She smiles to herself. Which is ironic, because when we left Step, the flux eroded our ability to survive on the moon. Now the situation is reversed. Away from the moon, its ecosystems are as fragile as we were living upon it. Something catches your eye as the shutters darken the dust house. The wind's picking away at the dunes begin to reveal something. A web, a network of thick branching forms, and they close completely and you see nothing in the dark. Soft blue lights flicker on in the corridor, up a light Aki in the cold cyan. You have piqued my curiosity, but I'm so tired. Aki shivers. If you don't have a purpose here on the ship, I recommend finding one. Otherwise, I'm afraid you need to leave. Make yourself useful and perhaps we find another chance to talk, she turns. I would like that. With that, Aki pats away along the corridor. You stand for a moment in front of the dark dust house, trying to imagine the network of roots and the sand and dust, and then trying to imagine the moon that once housed them. Interesting. We have multiple points where we can help, but we also need to rest before we can. I hope we can finish all that before the other cycle runs out. Not be sure cycle gonna try. Okay, the pilgrim seat still needs this to be working. Docking access. There's a loose crowd around the supply ship nodded, and a tense mood brewing among them. You see Nibioi on the edge of the shuttle's docking tunnel resting. Further away, crews from Ember's Song continue their lives as usual, coming and going, trading, discussing. There's a quiet efficiency to the hub, set up as a common space for the swarm of small ships from Ember's Song that are part of flotilla. Unlike Hard or Step, there's no one capital ship for the moon's refugees, just a mass of individuals traveling in concert. We told Hard we didn't want their scraps. The jeering voice comes out of the small crowd nearby. I turn to see a gaunt, pale man waving the industrial work gear you have seen many of the Song refugees wear. You hear me? Peter, still an Ember Song refugee. These supplies are to help. He smokes. Oh, how noble of you coming out here to help us singers. There's a rumble of anger around the crowd. We agreed to join the flotilla for joint protection. We did not agree to Ember's Hearts using the flotilla to secure their control of the moons. You realize Peter is addressing the crowd as much as he's addressing you. With the cordon down, our crews are more than able to acquire what is needed from the eye, what is owed as restitution for keeping us restrained. He pats on one of the crates you unloaded. What we need, we will take. I have no stake in this. And why are you delivering supplies for Hart? Peter asked. You need to check your alliances, Sleeper. Peter looks around at the crowd. Hart thinks they can buy us. But we remember the past. A rumble of agreement runs through the crowd. Smells at them. Take the supplies if you wish, of course. We are not wasteful. Peter approaches you directly. The crowd tentatively moves forward, and by the time he reaches you, they are already dragging away crates and distributing the contents. I'm not one for shooting the messenger, Sleeper, says Peter as he approaches, but we cannot concede to Heart here, not for a moment. Leave me out of it. You already put yourself in the middle of it, Sleeper, don't you see that? Peter sits beside you on the docking tunnel slip. What was your plan, Sleeper? Unload the supplies and wait for someone to start throwing them back at you? He nods at the crowd, rifling through the crates, because that's what's about to happen. So, should I thank you? Peter bows a little. My pleasure. What do you think happened to the crew of the shuttle? He shakes his head. They were chased out of this place. What's happening here? We're maintaining our independence, he smiles. Do you know anything about Ember's moon, Sleeper? Or we're planning to wander into this flotilla totally blind, an objective outsider offering help, he rolls his eyes. I know a little. A little is the same as nothing. I'm going to assume you know the basics. The Gastra and Ember has 7 moons. The 3 biggest are Ember's Step, Ember's Song, and Ember's Heart. He winks. We can cover the 3 sisters next session. Step was the first to be set. The contract old Solheim gave the terraformers Sibyl's systems when they first claimed that Helion system. That was way back when. Step was a testing ground, and like most testing grounds, didn't turn out too well. A partial atmosphere slowly sloughing off each orbit, a dysfunctional ecosystem, and a whole lot of dust-clogged settlers. This place is a miserable desert, long past its best before date. So Cybele moved to Hard, where they redoubled their efforts. The subsurface ocean and some balmy tidal heating helped, allowing them to build a real atmosphere, a real habitable world. Fact that the typical Hard colonist wouldn't even let you forget. How did Cybele achieve such a thing, you might wonder? Well, that's where we come in. It's the same old rule of surrogacy. The one humanity builds our universe around. Peter claps his hand to his chest in a mock pride. My moon, Ember's Song, is a sulfur-soaked rock covered in volcanoes, tidally heated by its inner orbit to sweltering temperatures, exactly the kind of crucible you need to fuel a terraforming project. Energy, industry, fuel, Song provided the raw materials for Hard. Peter grimaces, willingly or not. As a crucible requires people to run it, us singers, born into a flaming pit, thus to people to run it, as singers born into a flaming pit, and us to stoke it so others might live in a paradise in the making. That was we had to endure, until Solheim brought everything down. Peter rattles off his speech from memory, and you wonder how many times he had delivered it. No Solheim, no contract. No contract, no Cybele, and no Cybele means 3 moons suddenly independent. Peter shakes his head. It was a war, Sleeper. Sometimes hot, sometimes cold, and unsurprisingly Hard and Step came out of it better than us. Yet, Peter holds up a hand, they needed a Sleeper. Always have. And so we are the linchpin. We're the center around which the moons orbit. not willing ember. We resisted takeovers, sieges, and expansions, and now we resist this. Half of the people on the ships think the flux was caused by Hart, intentionally or otherwise. I have to say, some psychots I agree, so before you come here, hand out supplies like a good soldier, maybe educate yourself. What does that matter now? Peter shakes his head. Do you forgive crimes against yourself so easily, Sleeper? Would you return to the bosom of SNARP if they sent someone to collect? Peter stares at the crowd. Don't presume to judge us. I want you to imagine what it is like to try and live on an airless, volcanic rock, where every system that sustains you starts shutting down. He spits out and wipes the sleep across his mouth. We abandoned nothing, some stayed, others left, but we will reclaim Amber as soon as the flux fades or ends. We've weathered worse. Don't you need the supplies to survive? As I said, we will take what we need when we need it. Peter stares out into the axis. There is no authority that we recognize here. I won't keep you from docking access, Sleeper. No one here has the authority for that, but watch yourself here. Try to remember that the Eye is just another in the long list of people who have tried to control us. Understand? Peter nods. Then let it guide you your actions, Peter sighs. Look, we are many and we have many needs. Ships come to the docking access for repairs, for requisitions, for friendship. You can provide these as well as any singer. If you want to help in your own name, Sleeper, not in that of Hart. Peter shakes his head. Carry that name here and you will lose all trust. Be as we are. Act in your own name alone. Peter puts a hand on your shoulder and stands. I hope I didn't just waste my time here, Sleeper. And with that he walks away back to the shrinking crowd that is disturbing the last of the supplies among the crew's present. You watch them pass the food and water between them. No signs of conflict between the crews. Just careful distribution of resources. Peter chats with a few crew, each of them casting looks in your direction, one that reveal little about the singer's intentions. You stand. It seems the tension on the flotilla run much deeper than you expected. This won't be easy. Kind of expected. I mean, I can understand it, but they also need to, okay, we need one ship mine replacement and supply spores. We can get those. We need to repair the systems on this ship. Electrode, huh? Okay, let's go back. We cannot get spores really right now, but we may be able, if we hit the right cycle, I don't know if we are, to buy 2 more ship mine fragments and actually build a ship mine. It's gonna be more cost effective than buying one for very expensive, and I don't know if we can get the second one after we bought the first one, so let's hope. Nope. Okay, well, I don't have the time to wait for that, so money wasting it is. We can't. Damn it. So we need to wait for the cycle. Oh, that sucks. Okay, that's okay. Hopefully. I don't know how much time we have left on this. No, not a waste. I mean, cost a lot of energy if we fail. Might as well try to get the spores. Nope. Ouch. No, we're starving. That's okay. I mean, it's not, but we can fix that. Ah, we're in a huge time crunch here, and I don't like this. We also need to figure out what the flux does, so... Let's end the cycle, and let's hope for something good. Okay, that's actually good. Let's see what the flux node has to offer. Lovely. I'm sorry for the sound. don't know where they came from. I always click on that even though I know I can't, but hey. I want to study the flux. Okay, let's see if we're lucky. Hey! And even positive, not just neutral. I see you've been contributing. Aki stands next to you at the dust house window. Was unsure what to expect when we joined the flotilla on its voyage to the eye, but after the journey across the system, then the quarantine, and then the flux reaching all the way out here too, Aki stops herself. Thank you, she blows a little. The other ships have only been interested in sending us supplies. But we grow all we need, she gestured at the dust house. But the dust houses need. That's a problem that concerns us. She smiles and turned to you. Shall we go inside? I'd love to. Aki smiles, calms. She taps away at the panel by the window. Seems only fair that after you help with the support system, you get to see what it is that you're maintaining. Let me do my nose real quick. Wondering why I have allergy stuff. Yeah, if I forget to turn on my dust filter and my pollen filter, then understandably I'm sniffing a bit more right now. It's okay. I'm too lazy to now get up. And it's just not too bad. Last night was worse, so... Gotta love allergy seasons, don't we? Aki leads you to an opening beside the window. You pass through the dark changing room. You notice Aki sliding on an oxygen mask and visor. She looks at the swirling dust inside. Inside it's just like Ember's step. Thin atmosphere, constant dust storms, nothing that will bother you. She pauses you a mask. The dust isn't exactly pleasant to inhale, however, so take this. You hold it to your face. She leads you through a short decontamination tunnel with its fizzing panels of purifying light, and then through the dust house. Immediately the wind and the heat hits you. You feel rough waves of dust scattering across your face, and peer through the amber murk. You feel slight and shifting piles of sand. Welcome to STEP, or an emulation of it at least. Aki's voice sounds distant, echoey. The terraforming process only managed to provide the limited atmosphere around the moon. One reach is slowly escaping. It's been like that since I was born, so I got used to the idea. You catch her bright eyes through the amber dust. So did everything else that lives here. You feel something hard beneath your feet, beneath the sand, like a coil of rope. Look down. You instinctively look down and see something pale and twisted poking off the sand. Aki sees you looking. This is step silk. It's one of the plants we established on Step. She kicks away some red sand. Like any bast fiber, it can be retted and woven into clothes. I'm wearing some made from it. Some made from it myself. Reading, man. It's one of so many species adapted to steppes since the Solheim collapse, which is why it must be preserved. She stares out into the swirling dust. It's as much a refuge as we are, and the dust houses hold hundreds of other species. You look at the pale, unassuming root, threatened thickly through the sand. Aki watches you silently. Had enough? It will be easier to speak outside. Aki leads you back through the decontamination tunnel, which blasts the dust from both of you with a burst of metallic hissing air, and into the changing room. Aki hangs up both the masks, patiently awaiting your questions. What happened to the amber step? Aki pauses, pulling her shawl around her. She looks small and pale inside its layers. Step was already doomed world, she sniffs. When Solheim gave the terraforming contract to Cybele, they believed they could build an atmosphere, but the moon's erratic orbit made it impossible to maintain. By the time of the Solheim collapse, the atmosphere was already fading, and the Cybele's attention was on Ember's heart. After the collapse, Cybele fell too. Its researchers scattered across the moons, and any central organization lost. Since then, my parents' generation worked tirelessly to survive, to adapt what we had to the failing moon. The steppes, on the other adapted species, are the life's work of the steppes colonies. So when the flux started to collapse, our computer system corroded and destroyed our life support, our water supply, our agriculture, we had to leave. Aki sits heavily on a nearby bench. Soon the only trace of Steppe will be on the ship. Aki begins to cry quietly. You're unsure what to do. Sit beside her. You sit on the bench beside her, and as she sobs. You understand why the ship, why the refugees from Steppe are so different. The world was already dying when the flux arrived. Ember Steppe is a terraformed moon. Partial atmosphere established colonies, agriculture, and yet when the flux event started, its people had to leave. You think of the eye and the delicate web of decaying systems it rests upon. What hope does a ruined station have against a wave that corrupts, corrodes, and collapses? Aki interrupts your thoughts, rubbing her eyes. Not everyone left. There wasn't room to take all the people and fill the dust houses. My parents, the friends, and many others stayed, she sniffs. We carried a step for them. Perhaps there is hope. We learned not to talk of hope in a dying world. There's meaning for them. And any future they can build with the time they have, she stands up. I wanted you to understand the importance of these dust houses, of what they contain. She leads you back out into the corridor. If the flux events continue to reach out the eye, we need to build protections to ensure the safety. Aki meets your eyes. I can help. Aki smiles weakly. I knew it. You will be welcome on the wind's lone shadow whenever you wish. These dust houses are already decaying. I have seen it. She stares into the dust. We had thought that they would last longer, but the last flux event. Help us, Aki looks at you. Please. I will. When you are ready, we will begin the preparations for reinforcing the dust houses. We need to be ready for the next flux event. Aki's eyes shine with the last of her tears. She takes a breath. I will see you soon. Aki drifts away down the corridor, leaving you alone once more at the viewing window, watching the ragged, delicate traces of the moon known as Ember Steppe. We will definitely help you. Don't worry. I mean, worry, but don't. It's not a good situation. I really need to eat something. Yeah, none of this is good. And yeah, just like the ones we just met are absolutely people that just fight for survival. It's the other ones, I can't agree with their idea of just stealing whatever they need from whoever. They don't know or met the people on the station. They don't know how many people fought for things, and they're just stealing from them. Sorry to say, but that is a absolute no for me. Metro outcome, that's okay. You and Aki stand side by side at the viewing window in silence. The dust swirls and you glimpse at the twisted root system of the steppe soaked through the ochre haze. After all these cycles, you feel a strange connection to a world on which you have never set foot. Aki shifts from foot to foot. She seems restless, eager to speak, but unsure of what to say. We did it. Aki smiles at you warmly. We did. She pauses and turns back to the window. What's the value of all this? She asks suddenly. Of preserving a world we have left behind. Conservation. Aki is silent for a moment. These creatures should be protected, yes. But for us, their conservation is conditional. We keep them alive because we need to use them. Can't pretend we are conservators when we harvest as much as we are able. Aki paces away, lost in thought. I'm grateful to you for helping protect the dust houses, for ensuring their slide into decay is delayed. Even averted, but now I find myself at an impasse. The stability of the dust houses changes things. It makes me aware of how blinkered we have been. Aki stops and looks at you, her posture somewhat different. If the ecosystem of Steppe if its people cannot grow to meet the future, why preserve it? She frowns. Are you just slaves to the preservation of what came before? Inheritors. Aki nods. But the weight of this inheritance is heavy. We come close. She comes close, holds your hands in hers. We must change to live. Aki smiles. I have seen that in you. The steppe, these people, the ship, should serve more than heritage, than history. They should serve the future. She takes a breath. There are those on the flotilla that need clothes, that need food, that can benefit from the gifts of the Steppes ecosystem. I want you to invite them. Can you do that for me? Of course. I know that Sol sent you, she smiled. You can tell Amaki, captain of the wind's long shadow, invites all the people of the flotilla to come. Captain? She smiled. You never asked. Aki steps away. You want to know about the flux, no? About its purpose, its origins. She smiled. You wish to protect your home as we could not. I'm afraid I don't have much to tell you. It's an exotic wave of sorts, an energy that passes through matter, just the very charged particles which run through our electrical systems. It's possible to shield against it, as you would radiation, as we have done with the dust houses, but only while it's weak. The flux event here was much like the first ones we felt on number step, localized, destructive but bearable, but in time its strength grew. Don't know if it will be the same here, but... She pauses. It's coming from the center of the system, from the closed orbit of Helios star Atron. That is all we could uncover. She's silent for a moment, unsure of what to add. I'm sorry I cannot offer more, but you are always welcome on the ship, she smiled. I hope we'll see you when the others come. She squeezes both your hands. Hope the ship, these dust houses, can be more than a museum. Hope they can be a home. With this she turns and leaves, and you feel the word home resonating with you like a struck bell. Well, isn't that just amazing? Okay, let's end the cycle. Need to fix the starving. I need to check on times a little bit. Now we need to see, because we still need the core and we need the, we only have the shipment fragment. And we need the spores, which I can get right now actually while I'm already here. We should hopefully give us positive enough to give us spores. Yep. 2 spores. Okay, we need 1. That's good. Yes, we can plant the other one in the greenhouse for stabilizer if we need it. I don't know if we do. Okay, now we need 3. Damn it. Okay. One more. Also, we still got the flux data to bring back, which I can, so that we get some information. Let's do this. Nope, hold on. That's forage fungus. I want spores. Almost wasted one. Well, okay, we got all 3 growth spores, so let's bring them over. Again, the core we have to wait, I think, like 2 or 3 more cycles to be able to buy them. Or the 2 we need. I'm glad we kept the one we bought before. There we go. Start action. Let's go here and give them the data we harvested. See what the flux can offer us. Sleeper, come look at this. Peak is poring over one of the displays on the makeshift recording suite they have set up on the Climbing Briar's cargo bay. On the screen, a clump of data pathways, like an ingrown root has started to untangle. It's an existing node, corrupted by the flux event. It's totally twisted up. They glance at you to check that you're listening. But inside, you watch as the unwinding pathways leave behind patterns of negative spaces, like shadows staying behind despite their cars they're leaving. It's a whole other data set. Peak eyes shine bright in the pale screen light. The flux event somehow seeds this data deep into the gaps and the nodes, wrapping them around it. What's in there? Not sure, Peak frowns. It isn't being very cooperative. You watch the screen, the patterns of shadows become obvious. Now as each layer of the pathway is pulled away. The flux event itself really did a number on unprotected nodes, like this one. Most of the ice systems are screened against radiation and interference, but these exposed nodes? Peak makes a ripping motion with their hands, torn apart. Peak points at a thick tangle of threads on the screen. Look here, looks like it's been tangled purposefully, but it's actually that all the points within the node have been randomly rearranged. It's if the node was a ball of bearings and the flux shook them. The pathways tried to account for the rearrangement once the system came back on, hence the tangle. Peak paused as the note continues to wind. Although, Peak muses, was less like shaking a bag of ball bearings and more like making them all simultaneously occupy a superposition of every possible position in the bag before locking them back into a new configuration. They smile sheepishly, but that's technically. So what is the flux? We know it's a wave, one with exotic effects, that's all. Peak runs a hand through their hair. The question is not how much what the flux is, but what is causing it, where it's coming from. Peak turns away from the screen, meeting your eyes. There's something else. They pause. Have you spoken with the refugees? A little. Peak lowered the voice instinctively. What they are reporting, massive system failures, cascading collapse of life support, terraform systems, total data corruption. Peak swallows. Flux shouldn't do that. It can fundamentally rearrange the structure of systems, especially those poorly shielded, but totally collapsing heavy-duty industrial system, failsafes, and all, that doesn't make sense. Those kinds of systems are built for deep space, for solar flares and radiation. The flux might penetrate them, but any reconfiguration should have been repairable. Peak looks back at the screen, where the decoding node lies amongst fully open. A shadow pattern of negative space that existed within its scrambled interior darkens the screen, like a set of bruises blurring the pattern of the object that makes them. I need to look into something. I have an idea what might be causing this wave triggering the flux, but I need time to research it. Can I help? Peak shakes their head. I'm sorry, Sleeper, but I want to keep this to myself for now. If you need something to do, the flotilla could truly do with the help. From what I heard from Ash, things are tense there. I'll look into it. Good. Peak sounds distant. Give me some time, Sleeper. Peak turns back to their console. I'm half some months so soon enough, I hope. You take a last glance at the young coiling node as you leave the dark shapes it leaves behind somehow troubling. Try to shake them from your mind. There are things to be done elsewhere. How many cycles? 6. I don't think we have those anymore, frankly. At least not in this story. I hope we can just continue like normal without actually leaving. And yeah, we need to go back. I need to check on the cycles. So we have 6 cycles here, but we have... two here. Well, good thing I'm not gonna leave, or I don't plan to. I hope we also can and don't have to like start over or anything. I hope you can continue playing with the quest. So far we could, but I'm not too sure. And 3 on Doxy, great. What am I gonna do? I am going to harvest mushrooms on the other end. Because we still have some stabilizer. But we need more. How many do I need? I need 3. Okay, I don't have any at all. That's okay. This should give us 2. Well, great. And this is very risky, hopefully neutral. But likely negative. Amen. And with that we only have 2, and yeah, that will not grow in time. That's okay. Let's eat. At least now we have enough crows to not have to worry about food the entire time. Can work and things like that, but you know, like the story continuation here is a bit more important. There we go. Thing is, we cannot do anything else. So might as well do some work stuff. Wait for things to happen. So we have 2 cycles for the Citra Horizon event, or now 1. And the other events have all 3 or more. So, yeah. Let's visit the shipyard here, shall we? The amount of cryo we get here is frankly amazing. Let's actually rest right here where the event is gonna take place. Because there's no, like, use in waiting for anything. All we can do is just go directly here. I do wanna buy a meal though, or two. And that is pretty good. 3 energy, huh? There's a crowd, but you spot Lem and Mia immediately as you enter the dock. They are waiting at the cordon, where Sealess security are checking the crew in to board the ship. Those that manage to get up to the hub are crowded near the entrance. But even they know their chance of getting on board has long gone. Wait, something stops you calling out to Lem. Maybe it's fear or nerves. Just the need to take a little longer in this moment before your will changes once more. A decision was made, you reason, and there's no point in rethinking it again and again. All you can do is move forward in the shadow, until so many cycles pass that you forget it was even there. Lem spots you among the crowd. Sleeper, we're here. They're standing beside the bag, which looks to carry all the possessions they have. It's small enough to be carried on one hand. You ready? Lem smiles nervously. Well, I guess so, he hefts the bag. Hope they let us take this on board. Got our whole life in there. Hand over the Sealess ID film to Lem, keeping your own. He turns it back and forth in his light. Where did your friend even get this picture, Sleeper? Looks like my old Conway idea. Look at a shimmering younger Lem stares out of the film, harder and clean cut. Spoke to the guard here, he nods to the white and green clad security officer. They'll be doing orientation and role assignment on board. Sounds like we are going to be working under the core crew. Kind of like an intern. He laughs. What do you think, Meanie? Am I too old to be an intern? Following Lem's lead, you inspect your ID. As you lift the film up to the light, you see something strange, something that makes you flinch. The face printed on the film is one you recognize immediately, but it's not you. At least, it's not how you look now. You squint at the ghost, confused why you hadn't noticed earlier. It's a picture you remember being taken, a memory that you didn't know you had. You remember signing the forms, walking to the sleeper tanks, the cold metal floor. You remember the S&up employee who helped you in, his smile clean and surgical. You freeze in place, thinking of you that still sleeps somewhere in an S&up facility that won't wake until you are recovered and disposed of. And now you're leaving? Will they ever wake up? Sleeper, Lem interrupts your thoughts. These guys want us to board. Stare at him without thinking, then notice the guard gesturing to you both to come forward. You all kick off and float over to them, steadying yourselves on the guardrail. You hang back, letting Lem present his ID film first. The guard slides it across the white machine, much like the one Castor printed them from. You reflexively erupt the puncture mark on your hand, even though there's no trace of it now. It seems to be your destiny to be someone else's too. Lem and Mina wave through, the guard smiling at her excited face. Lem turns back to check you're coming. The guard beckons closer. Wait. You wait for a moment. You need to wait for a moment. This is all happening too fast. Changing too much. There's so many questions you have, so many threads to catch hold of, and yet there you are, boarding a ship who knows where, on a journey that will take decades. And that you will not make it out alive of because you don't have stabilizer. Duh. Is this really what you want? How will you even survive? You suddenly feel dizzy, unsettled. You can make out the concerned look on Lem's face as you look back. The guard gestures again, Mina's eyes looking back at you so bright in the starlight. We're gonna stay. You can't do it. You can't get on that ship. Turn away quickly, trying to not look at Lem, to look at Mina, to meet their eyes. Turn away and kick off hard from the guardrail. When you reach the far wall, you turn back. The scene continues in front of you as if nothing changed. The next set of people are boarding. The crowds are still gathered at the cordon. The side where the horizon still blinks, its yellow hull bright against the stars. And then there are Lem and Mina, gliding up towards the docking bridge, bag in hand. Lem is facing away, focused on the steady climb, but Mina is in his arm and is facing back towards you. You watch her face, confused, sullen, but twinkling with a growing excitement as Lem carries her forward. As you watch Mina, you think about the future you might choose. Know one thing for certain, that future is on the eye. You no longer have any enthusiasm for being carried forward by the dreams of others, for grand futures that unfold like angelic wings across the horizon. For an impending death that awaits you after probably 20 or more cycles, because you ran out of stabilizer, you know. The future is being made now, on the spinning ring amongst its people and systems, you're sure of that. But as you watch Mina disappear into the entrance of the sidereal horizon, and much later when you watch the ship pull away, you feel a sense of longing. A longing to be carried, not by the systems that spin the suns, or the corporations that run the colonies, but by love towards an uncertain future, just as Mina was. That, you think, is the future you wish to make here on Erland's Eye. Yes, I let them go. That is exactly what I hoped I could do. Now, problem with that, of course, our deal is broken. But let me know under, and I don't care. Like, if it means eternally harvesting data from somewhere else for this guy, I will do it. But Mina and Lem deserve that future. They deserve to have a place to call home, if they can make it. Strange choice, Castor stands behind you at the rail, watching the pinpricks of light from the sidereal horizon's strides disappear. But perhaps not unexpected. You turn to look at Castor, beaming at you with an unsettling warmth. Aren't you angry? About what? He squeezes your shoulder. Only wish for you to exercise this strong drive of yours. If it happens to align with my own, then it's pleasing to me, but if it does not, I cannot pass you. What about Silas? Castor looks out at the stars. Indeed, that's a matter which worries me. Sender Silas has taken a step back from the public eye. Seems some internal struggles are playing out with the pristine halls, Castor signs, but I doubt core politics are of much concern to you. Castor moves down along the rail. The eye, though, that seems to be your primary concern. Am I right? It's my home. He smiles broadly. Then we are fellow residents. He seems pleased. This place has been a good home for me. Though, like all places, it has its phases. Do not idle here too long, sleeper, unless you wish to be once again caught in the movement of the systems, much bigger than you thought. Castor turns and starts clunking away his mag boots. I will be keeping an eye on you if you don't mind, sleeper, he waves as he walks. My curiosity remains piqued. Once he leaves, you stay a little longer at the rail, watching the stars. Imagine the look on Mina's face when she sees Silas 1 for the first time. Imagine the excitement when she first touches soil, the joy when she first stands outside the rain laughing. As images, though they will not happen for decades, and what carry you on through the cycle, and perhaps the next one too. I had to leave. I just had to let them leave. Like, I couldn't justify leaving with them. We have so many things there, so many friends on the eye. I wanted them to be happy. But we have so much more here that we can do, that we can achieve. We can make the eye, like, truly more of a home if we survive the storm. And we need to help the people with the storm, because clearly it's one of the things that only we can do. I really just wanted to stay here, as I said last time too. Box note, huh? I cannot do anything there, but I definitely need to. I want Havanash and not yet Hanga if I can, because I have a decent bit of Havanash. Already. Havanash. Please? Nah. Please? Nah. I guess I need to get your Tanga data. Because I think all of these are just 5s and 6s. Yep. Well, I guess let's see what the Tanga data is. Ah, perfect. Well, at least Lem and Mina will hopefully find a happy life. I really hope that Mina can find a happy life in the family. The thing with recolonization is, first of all, like, they are not in the cryo chamber, so they are gonna age. That's one of the things they have going on for them. The other thing is it takes decades to reach, so you don't know how old they will be once they reach. You don't know if Lem's even gonna be alive and how old Mina's gonna be. But hopefully they can find one. It won't take too long. But yeah, there's a decent bit of, like, things that happen. That being said, we can buy the NAS 2 ones we need for building this. Hydration. But yeah, I really want to finish the story, so let's hope I can. It may take a little bit of overtime, but that should be fine. If I can't, like, if there's a large thing happening right after what we just done, then that's okay too. I wanna get into the fluxed nodes because I have the feeling we need it. Okay, that's more of a chance, that's good. Amazing. I take a 3 on here, because this will give us 1 more, and that means, or 2 more, and that means that we get another stabilizer from this, while we wait for the mushrooms, and then the mushrooms aren't a guarantee to harvest. So, yeah. But I know that probably we need more flux data. So that's what I'm gonna grab here. But yeah, I'm glad we could decide to stay. That was the one hope I had. Because there was no, like, future for us anyways there. Without the stabilizer and not within cryosleep and things like that, we had no choice to even think about things. Okay, there's nothing here. I'm gonna need to go back and build the flux core. The shipment core. Was it here? No. Was it here? Yes, okay. No. No, it was not. That's a self-shipment thing. Must have been here somewhere. Ore fabricator, I think? Yep, okay. There we go. Let's deliver the shipment. And let's see what it brings us on the last refugee. Little part. Because the others all are now on our side, more or less. Problem are these stubborn thieves. And quite honest, like, having lived through a lot of shit doesn't give you any justification for thieving from people you don't know, that have nothing to do with your situation. Without, like, thinking about their lives too. As you cross the axis looking for a shuttle to take you back to the ruined cordon, you spot Peter standing at the edge of the central hub. Something about the way he's leaning against the rail, looking down across the axis and towards the blinking lights of the flotilla beyond, makes you pause. He's completely still, his head drooping low, and his shoulders hunched tight. Approach him. You lean on the railing a little away from Peter, leaving a gap between you. This close you can see the black stare in his eyes, the way his hands hang limply in front of him. It takes a minute to notice you. Sleeper, he announced sharply, still hanging around, trying to be useful. Peter smiles a tight smile, but doesn't turn to face you. Did the sleeper thing, needing to be useful? It's a me thing. Won't make sense, Peter closes his eyes. Tools need to be used. What's with you? Peter stands back from the writing. Who invited you, Sleeper? Who said you could come here? Think because the headers decided to name you the errand boy we have to put up with you? We don't want you here. We don't need you. His eyes burn with rage. Go home, you stupid machine. Second after he shouts that final line, he collapses in on himself, staying upright, but all the energy gone out of his body. He slumps back against the railing, his eyes closed once more. You wait. After a while he speaks. I'm tired, Sleeper. Tired of everything. I'm tired of the empty paternalism of heart. I'm tired of the paranoid whining of the crews. Tired of endless cycles that look the same, smell the same, feel the same. Tired of running, fighting, fixing every shitty thing that breaks out here. His shouting echoes a little in the hub, but few stop to look. He looks down at his feet. Everyone's tired. Peter doesn't react. He stands. I'm going to go. He looks at you. And sniffs. Get some sleep. Good. Peter nods slowly, turning away. He raises a hand and drifts away towards the center of the hub. Turn back to the railing, not wanting to watch him go. Seeing him like this, you prefer not to stare. The traffic up the axis rumbles on as you watch under an endlessly shining sun. The same air recycled through all these lungs, the same dust gathering speck by speck on the windows. Take a sharp breath, stand straight, and get moving before the inertia of all gets to you too. Well. That is at least one thing we can do. And now we can socialize and do the jobs. Well, let's socialize a little. And we got a random scrap item, which we can actually use, because I don't want to waste any stabilizer right now. That being said, I forgot to turn on the Havanash data, but that's okay. I'm just gonna use some scraps. 2 should be enough, because it drops 1 every second. That loses us 1 of the dice actions, so let's do this. And the cycle. And then let's just focus on the last ship to help them out, associate with them, become friends, because we still have 2 cycles to figure out what this stuff is actually doing. Or at least a lead on what the nodes do. Meh. Whatever. I'm starving. That's okay. At least I got a bit of progress there. Let's eat something. Endlessly scrolling. I think as it goes down when we rest too, so... we have 1 more chance at not using the stabilizer with the scraps, so let's do that. And then end the cycle. Don't think we can fully get to what we need to. Could get the mushrooms, we have enough still at the moment, and I don't like the roads we have, but I also don't wanna waste the reroll on them, so I'm just gonna go back here, do the exact same thing I just did, and hope for good outcomes of 3 of the actions. Yeah, okay, well, never mind. Should have taken the other one. That's okay, that's okay, that's okay. We can work somewhere else. Preferably somewhere that gives us food. So let's head over. I wish there was an easier thing to the scrolling, because this is quite a lot of scrolling every time. I also want to stop by at this house. And now we need to... Actually, we don't need to stabilizer yet. Amazing. And you need to feed the stray. Or want to feed the stray. Because, you know, why not? It's our pet here. At least in this home that we found. We have a lot of homes on this ship, but on the eye, but... To be fair, one of them is rented. Some of them are lent, but, you know... The cat signalizes our first, like, other home besides the one we had in the container. It's 2 of the only people we haven't heard back from are the mechanic and the harvester that got the ship scraps. They said something's coming after us, but we obviously take care of that, and yeah. Still don't have any contact anymore, even though they helped us. That's okay though. I want to help them up before I go back to the 2 guys, you know, to like figure out about this situation. There we go. Because it's 1 more. Seeper, Peter calls out to you as you cross the access. He's standing by the same railing as you saw him last time. And he beckons you over. Been hearing things, he gives you a sidelong look. Good things? Peter smiles. Mostly. He rubs his hand together nervously. You wait for him to speak. You know, on song I was a teacher, he glances, and you're anticipating a response. Mechanical engineer. It's an essential subject on the moon, where a single mechanical failure could mean the deaths of hundreds. He looks at the ground. The heat, the atmosphere, the radiation, all of it's hostile to us. My students knew this. Their work, their training was respected. As long as they were careful and respected, sung themselves. They could have their choice of colony placement. They were always in demand. It meant I was respected, surrounded by friends and colleagues, always able to call in favors and repay them like before-like. He frowned. Some colonies are small, close-knit. We look after our own. When the flux event started hitting, colonies went dark overnight. We all knew what those kind of errors meant. Like always, we lost more people than any of the other moons. They balled his hands into a tight fist. Not a single one of my students left Song. Our future was cut off just like that. My future. He flexes his hand. What am I out here? What use am I? Song is fading memory, and the systems we built here are useless outside its orbit. How am I supposed to move on from here? He looks at you, eyes steely grey and glinting. Find someone to teach, Peter pauses, thinking. You don't give up, do you, Sleeper? You just keep going, Peter shakes his head. You remind me of a student of mine who entered the program from one of the smaller colonies. They didn't have the advantages of some of the others, but they were stubborn as hell. By the end of the program, they were the most skilled of their peers. They didn't get the best assignment, maybe because they didn't spend too much time making the kind of connections that would help you get there. But that didn't matter, because they knew they would make the best of anything they set themselves to do. Peter's smiling now, buoyed up a little by memory. Singers are stubborn, Sleeper. We aren't going to change easily. We won't forget easily or take help easily, but we hold strong. You can count on us for that. Peter stands from the railing. When you see Sol again, you can tell him that. You can tell him how the crews of Ember Song operate. Tell him we will resist. If that means resisting Heart's imperialist ambition, so be it. If it means resisting the flux, so be it. And if it means to, as you have, help others resist those same pressures, so be it. Peter smiles. And then tell him to leave us alone. He turns his step lighter and heads off towards the center of the access hub. Kind of what I was expecting. Get back to Sol. When you arrived at the bridge of the Pilgrim's Seat, Sol's waiting for you. You wouldn't believe the messages that have come through the past 2 cycles, Sleeper, he smells. Ship from Steppe has sent a goodwill gesture, a whole cache of supplies from their own farms, he smells. I'm not sure we used them, but the gesture's a welcome one. Song, meanwhile, are apparently accepting supplies again, although a little reticently? I will look up that word. I've never seen that before. Or at least not that I can remember. I mean, probably, like... I can guess what it means, but... Okay, reserved, yeah. Okay. If I may say so, so smart. Don't expect them to change anytime soon, should be said. And for what I'm wondering, Sleeper, is what part of your head in all of this, so I'll be waiting for an answer. I helped where I could. Come to expect that of you, Sleeper, he smiles. You look at Sol, his eyes bright and eager, and wonder what he sees in you. Are you a tool to be used or an ally? It can be hard to tell. I want to show you something, Sol squeezes your shoulder, turning your face to lift. He leads you along the axis of the ship towards the entrance, the clanking of his suit accompanied by the constant hammering and welding that fills the echoey bulkheads of the Pilgrim's Seat at all hours. With the cordon lifted and shuttles able to go out to salvage scraps and barter for supplies, the ship has become a place of transformation, moving towards some state yet to be revealed to you. You look at Sol. What is his plan here? Or what's he preparing the Pilgrim's Seat for? Or is Sharprace simply focused on making it through the next cycle? Suddenly Sol stops in front of a huge bulkhead door, like the seal on the front of a dry dock hangar, signals to someone on the cabin high up attached to the wall, and they begin the process of opening it up. The Pilgrim's Seat was built as a short-range freight carrier, you know. The amber warning lights on the bulkhead doors sent spinning shadows across Sol's face. We built it to ship the entire harvest from thousands of farms to the silos that pass the road. When we realized we need to leave, it was the biggest ship we could muster. Sol raps on a metal plate, and somehow she's carried us all the way out here. You led the evacuation? Me, he lost? Not even close. I was a farmer, had a whole load of land and people to run it, and my people helped convert this place for the long trip. He looks at his feet. Others led, organized the evacuation, debated the plan. What happened? None of those folk made it, Sol raps his word. We were out in the black a long time before we got here, Sleeper. Things happened. The absolute shot it was I chose to take over. Guess my crew trusted me, and they knew the ship. I argued, remembered them I'm not the leader, and that I'm sick, but well, when service chooses you. A loud klaxon sound indicating the bulkhead doors are ready to open. They groan as they slide back, the metal squeals echoing through the vast ship, bouncing off its hard-plated walls. First all you see is darkness, then the lights go on, in huge strips that stretch back as far as you can see. Space in front of you, a vast bay, bigger than any you have ever seen, is empty. When we left hard, we didn't have the time to resource to convert the entire ship, so we can landing you into the massive space. Leading, not landing. Ugh. So much of the freight space was sealed away, shut down. But now we have time, we have resources, we stabilized here, at least for the moment. Sol turns to you. Now's the time we make use of all this. What are you planning? What do you think happens next for the Ice Sleeper? Sol sighs. The flux has already hit one part of the station, and from what I know, it will hit it again. On Heart, we lost everything. There isn't much time, Sleeper, but there's enough time to do something. Think of the number of people we can fit on here. The farming stacks, the housing. Hell, we can plant some of those mushrooms you love so much. This is the way forward, the only way. We need to fill the ship with able bodies and head for the starboard belt. What the eye was your goal? This was only until the flux hit here, now it's just another stop. I'm glad of the chance to resupply and salvage, but we need to go further out. I want you to help me. You know, the eye, you have connections, and you can work hard. I've seen it. So meets your eye. I know you're like me, Sleeper. You didn't lose service, but it chose you. There are other ways. If you know him, go ahead, but I'm telling you, this is opportunity we have now. I know it's a lot to think about, Sleeper, trust me, so begins to lead you back out of the bay, but think of what we can do here. Flotilla can't last forever. We need more than just farmers to make this work. We need to build a new world for ourselves. Headed out there in the belt, there are people who've been setting up since the collapse, making something of their own. This is our future, tucked away in those rocks, far from all of this, so sighs. I didn't bring my people here just to let them die somewhere near. So crosses back over the threshold of the bay and signals for the operator to close it up. The door groans and Slow waits for it to stop. Think about it, Sleeper, so clamps an arm on your back. But don't wait too long, this is happening soon. It leaves you there in the silence of this vast bay, your head spinning with the thoughts of leaving the eye. The thing is, if we have a chance to save the eye, then we will. But on the other hand, having this place set up with farms to actually take care of itself so it doesn't have to stop anywhere else if things happen, or just in case to just, you know, like they built a life there, why not just extend that? It's really not a bad idea. Have you ever heard of can channels, Sleeper? Pig asked as soon as you entered the bay, as if you were in the middle of a conversation. There are heavy circuits under the ice, and you aren't sure if they moved since you last visited. The console they are working at seems to have grown too, shadowing the side frame and a wealth of screens and wires. Can? You mean for transit? Yes, exactly. Peak turns to face you. Kumani's active negotiation, the name of the effect used to transport trillions of tons of materials from the surrogate systems to the core. You might have heard of it in your physics classes. At XPR they hammered the principles into us as kids. Can. Peak recites the definition as if in the classroom. Process of collapsing spatial causalities along the Euclidean distance between 2 points by negating mass simultaneously at both ends of a geodesic curve. Essentially, Can channel allows for the near instantaneous transport of raw materials between systems. They require huge volumes of energy, of course, and decades of construction, but once Can channels is established, it opens up a system for infinite exploitation. The backbone of surrogacy is what XPR called them. Peak shakes their head. They may not be able to send anything more complex than a rock through them. Complex machines and people are, shall we say, reconfigured by the process. But for raw molecular pure materials, Peak flicks a hand. Whoosh! This is your research? Peak pauses. What I was trying to find out was whether the Helion system, this system, ever had a Can channel. Can channels are vastly expensive to build, to run. Not even surrogate system has one. Many use fraction drive ships to transport their material to the nearest hub, but Solheim? Peak smelts. Solheim spared no expense when they can establish this system. There's a Can channel? Yep, Peak's eyes light up. They shut it down before the collapse. They couldn't run the sender-receiver stations anymore, but it was there, still is, as far as I can tell, closely orbiting a star. In fact, Peak grins, they've been building it to this. I'm sure it's still there, because one of the issues with Can channels are the massive waves of exotic energy they can produce when cycling up. The flux? Exactly, Peak face suddenly drops. Someone is starting up the channel. Why? Peak sucks in a breath. That, I don't know. They start counting off the information on their fingers. They need a lot of resources to do it, and they need to have people from the core system. But there's no real large-scale extraction on the Helion system anymore, so why would you go to the trouble? Just to trigger the flux? Peak rubs the red eyes. The flux, the wave the can effect produces is a side effect, a problematic one, but it isn't a destructive force. If it was, the core systems would have never been able to use it. So then why are colonies collapsing because of it? Why is it chewing through systems, the kind of industrial system set up to function within the range of one's active can channel? Peak is getting frustrated. The moons of Ember have been terraformed since before the collapse. They would have had to deal with the flux, yet everything we have heard from the refugees said it brought down every system they had. Peak falls quiet, thinking all the through. Your mind drifts too, thinking of can channels, those vast acausal highways that prop up the core system and their endless appetite for resource. The system has been quiet for decades. Solheim's collapse, most corporations gave up their claims, and apart from the sealer ships that came to begin work on the Sidereal horizon, no one from the core has come here in all that time. It shivers to imagine the attention of the core, the system of logic and exploitation that created your suffering, turning towards the Helion system. Floodlight turned to its dark corner. Shrill beep catches both of your attention, and Peak rushes to a screen, one showing a crude map of the station. On it, individual markers begin to flare up with insistent chirps. Peak looks puzzled for a moment, and then their face drops. No! They lean in closer. This doesn't make any sense. What's happening? The flux nodes are appearing elsewhere on the station, Peak pulls their hair. Set the system to alert me to the flux nodes near the epicenter of the flux event, but these are everywhere. The hub, the loan, the shipyard. Yeah, we already found some of those. How can this happen? The only reason we saw a flux node here is because it's in the most random part of the station. They were barely shielded, but others appearing. So for after the event? Peak turns to you. You're going to need to get me the data from these nodes and quickly. Keep looking at what I have here, but I need to know why they're popping up everywhere. When I can. Quickly, Sleeper, I mean it. We can talk more about can channels and system history when you're back, but this needs our attention right now. Peak turns quickly back to the monitor, the eyes following scrolling screens of code spewing from the newly flexed notes. You leave quickly, but struggle to shake the image of the spotlight from your mind. You feel watched that you cross back to the pilgrim seat on your way to the shuttle bay. You hurry onwards, eager to outrun the fear. We have 2, we need 3. Okay. We can do this. We have 2 of the others. I wonder if there's another one here as a new one, or if we need to go all the way over. We need to go all the way over. Okay, that's fine. Again, we already got 2. We need just 1 more. And then he needs to process them, so that may take some time too. There must be 1 more somewhere. After the 2 we've already gotten. Where can it be? Where can it be? Is it up on the eye, maybe? Could be. Although there's not much here, but I guess... Nope, we can't. Nope, we can. Okay. Yep, it's here, the flux node. 4 or 6. Perfect. 8. Okay. We got the data. So whatever it is spreads like a virus, huh? Okay, we got 1 more of these. Let's go back and bring him this stuff. Also, we should have 2. Yes, exactly. We only have studied the flux left. Don't know, I think like other questions... I don't know if you get all of them. I don't need all of them as bonus, but like some more of them would be nice. There we go. Let's give him the flux data. Just be a moment, don't leave Sleeper. Okay. You watch as Peak works on the flux data, the notes unfolding like flowers now, giving in to Peak's increasingly sophisticated decoding protocols. Seeing data like this as an image on the screen is almost unrecognizable representation to you. It's nothing like swimming among nodes and threads. Despite this, Peak has proved themselves to be more than able to handle these complex data structures, even though this limits pre-presentational paradigma. Ugh. The Vader hisses, interrupting your flow of thoughts. Turn to see Ash entering. Rough day. She looks up and meets her eyes, but doesn't respond. Ash stalks into bay, heads down. She looks tired and not in the mood to talk. How's the weapon hunt? Pete asks before turning from the screen. So, unsuccessful, tedious. Ash slams at the back down on a crate and hops to sit on it. Still picking bolts of yarn? With the sleeper cell, Pete smiles. They brought me some good stuff in the cycle. Maybe they could help you find the weapons you were smuggling. It's clear that Ash doesn't appreciate Pete's tone. Still looking? Ash replies. And whoever took them better be making most of their rapidly shortening lifespan right now. Ash, Pete cuts without looking away from the console. We talked about this. This is my mistake, Pete, and I fix it how I want. Ash folds their arms. No one of the factions of the flotilla has taken them. I just need to find out. Pete holds up a hand. Shh! They lean towards the screen. Son of a... What? They hid it in the wake of the wave. Pete is whispering to themselves. It's alive! They lean back their chair. Ash crosses over to look at the screen. Alive? Well, it's growing. It's processing. It's quietly walking away in the dark. Look! You cross over the screen and stand beside Ash. In it you can see that Peek has all 4 nodes decoded, and the pattern of shadows from inside them sits on the screen like a dark string. Then you notice it, the movement, the thin threads crossing from one stain to another. As you watch, you notice that the movement only ever happens in your peripheral vision, as if this thing is shadow, knows it's being watched. This is how the other flux nodes appeared. Peek rubs their ears. They weren't fluxed by the wave, they were corrupted after the fact. This thing, the shadow that entered in the wake of the wave, corrupted them, but it made the corruption look like the result of the flux. It's a sleight of hand, Peek runs a hand through their hair. The flux wave is so massive, so complex, that it opens up the system to be attacked. So the Raycomb figures exposes systems, the shadows broadcasting in implanted inside. The waves from the Kanshana. It is a brute force way of hitting every system in healing, and once the systems are vulnerable, Peek looks pale, their eyes reflect the screens. Flux isn't what's attacking the system, it's a siege weapon. Trojan horse. This thing takes over, Peek sits back in the chair. And it's already on the eye. Wait, Ash rubs the forehead. You're telling me there's a Kanshan on the system? Shit, Peek isn't listening. This is bad. We have to take this to someone. Peek looked desperately at you. Helen. Is that wise? Ash cuts. Haven't exactly made good decisions lately. And the station's administrators are Peek desperate. They need to know. The thing is, even if we tell so, like, he has lived to this before, he knows that he needs to flee. But, the eye is unprotected, but they have a lot of scientists and people that can work with data that can maybe fix this. The argument rages between them, and you watch them shouting. You feel sick. After a while they stop, running out of things to say. An unsettling silence descends on the bay. I need more time, Peek says quietly. I need to look at solutions, try to build a case, collate the evidence. We messed this up. They look down at their hands. Ash goes to speak, then thinks better of it. Not a word, sleeper, Peek meets your eye. Don't tell anyone until they're ready. They sign. With the tension among the refugees, Sol won't be ready to hear this, and Helen and Havenach is still mired in some kind of crisis. We tell Havenach they are likely to react badly, and even with the flotilla stabilized, Sol is also not going to react well to this. I need time to build a case. You're too twisted up in this, Peek, Ash says quietly. This is not our place, we don't owe... Stop, Ash, Peek slumps in their chair. Stop. You leave them like that, exhausted and troubled, and head back into the pilgrim seat. When you close your eyes, you think of those shadows, that movement at the edge of your vision. Something dark growing in the station like a parasite. You feel sick, your vision blurs. What comes next? Stop in the corridor and take a breath, pulling hard on the rumbling metal wall. For now, the eye keeps spinning. For now. I guess this is the most useful one. 2 cycles, so... I want to skip through those. Let's see if we can find a solution. Yeah, that was kind of clear, but we got 2 scraps, so it's fine. Don't have one to work, we would have been able to save 1, but that's okay. Can use 2 here and then not have to do anything about things. I'm gonna just collect the scraps and use my points for the mushrooms harvest to get one more stabilizer. I think that 3 should bring us through the game pretty good. Because after the cycle I need to take another one, so... It doesn't leave us too many cycles, but I think 3 should be pretty good. Amazing. Please give us another one. No. That's okay. I hope we get one on this one. Ah, oh, pooh. Because next cycle wouldn't have worked. No, not this one. If we get one scrap, we're pretty much set for this cycle too and don't need stabilizer. And then we can go back to peak. So I'm doing a little overtime, but should be worth it. Let's go back to this sleeping spot. And let's see, hopefully Peak has found something. Sleeper, Peak is waiting for you in the corridor. It's time. Peak looks pant, disheveled, with heavy marks under the eyes and strands of hair sticking in the face. I'm ready. Peak holds a thumbnail-sized drive. All the data I have compiled on the flux event, the effects of the wave and the structures that hide within is on here. You look at the tiny drive, a casket of dark secrets. I've annotated it to the best of my ability. Anyone should be able to understand the threat, the potential in this. Peak signs. Makes for grim reading. Without intervention, the eye will suffer a cascading collapse of systems, just like the colonies of Ember Moons. Intervention? Peak grimaces. That I'm still working on. Peak looks at the drive. The shadow in the flux, this protocol, is so hard to pin down. It adapts to any countermeasures I've tried to deploy. It's like trying to hold a water cage. It slips water in a cage. It slips straight through. There has to be a way. Peak closes their hand around the drive. We need help, Sleeper. This is about everyone on the station, they sign. We have to set it up for a meeting to tell someone who can do something about this. Helen? Perhaps, Peak pauses. If anyone can protect the eye, it's Savanash. But the internal politics will make it hard for them to act. Will they even listen to us? Or perhaps, Peak thought forcefully, we've been thinking about this all wrong. Peak's eyes glint. Why make a choice when we can tell both of them? Why pick a side when only side this entire thing is one we all need to take? Peak speaks out, I think, their whole words barely keeping pace with their thoughts. We need to resist together or we will fail. We need everyone on board, Sleeper, Peak smarts. That's the only way we send the data to both. You're right, Peak smarts. I'm glad you see it too. They look away. Another flux event is coming, I'm sure of it. I'm not sure we can survive without help. Peak opens the hand and holds the drive out for you to take. You need to do this, Sleeper. I can't. You know Sol, you know Helen. They trust you. To them, I'm just another spacer, but you're a part of this place. Hearing someone else say it hits your heart. You're part of the eye, Peak is right. But right now it feels more like a weakness than a strength. I set up data relay at the cordon. It's neutral ground. Take the data and send it out to Avanach and the flotilla. Once they receive it, they will come. We can be sure of that. We meet them there and take them through it all. No one could do a better job. They took a strand of hair behind the others. Okay. Peak tentatively puts a hand on your shoulders. Thank you, Sleeper. I know this is hard, but we all have to move forward. We can't keep this to ourselves anymore. They step back and look thin and pale in the harsh station light. Come talk to me once it's done. And they slip away into the eye. I really hope they can sleep. Okay, this is the final episode. And as I see it, we don't have anything else, so... Continue. With the data sent, the only thing to do is wait. So as you do, you imagine Helen receiving the data, perhaps in the middle of some half-notch council meeting. You think of her trembling hand as she slips out of the room to read it. Her reaction, you can't predict. You imagine Sol too, one of its crew finding him in some corner of the pilgrim seat, overseeing the modification that will turn it into an art. The sharp eyes scanning the data, looking for a way to proceed. The weight draws out, and past the time you watch the activity beyond the edge of the eye, the scrap shuttles pulling components from the now abandoned cordon, and the supply skiffs making runs between the flotilla ships. It isn't long before you hear a chirping of one of Helen's now familiar drones approaching the viewing platform, and then Helen herself strides into the room. Where did you get this, sleeper? Helen holds up a slate scrolling the stream of flux data as she enters. I need to know your source. Hello to you too. If you didn't bring me here for a reunion, I assume. You didn't bring me here for a reunion. There. Helen smiles at Finn's smile. Then you forgive me for skipping the pleasantries. She pauses and pushes her hair back out of her face. This is a lot to take in. Shadow protocol inside the flux. The systems can channel starting up. Total collapse of the eye. She rubs her forehead. If I bring this to the council, they believe you. She laughs. Do you know what has been happening with Avenard Sleeper? She looks away. Out at the flotilla. Since the refugee ships started arriving, things have changed. It's chaos. No one can settle on a single issue. There's a division at every vote. But in the division only one group prospers, the hardliners. Because as each counselor gets tired of their arguments, gets tired of compromise, they become more attracted to the easy answer. The flotilla is to blame, the refugees are opportunists, the eye must be defended. She shakes her head. Now you're telling me they brought something to the eye that will cause this to the collapse? They didn't bring it. Doesn't matter, Sleeper, that's all the counselors were here. She closes her eyes, a hand on her temple. Many of them already presume that the refugees are somehow to blame. Did someone say refugees? So clanks in the docking bay, grinning at the situation. Speak of the devil, and well, here I am. Suit hisses as he settles on a cane. Helen glances between the two of you, uncertain if she has been drawn into some elaborate plan. So holds out a hand to her. So, he nods. I believe I've spoken remotely while the curtain was still up. We're all allies here, so raises an eyebrow. That seems a little presumptuous, doesn't it? I trust you, Sleeper, but Havenash have been the ones seeking to hold us without charge or good reason. I'm not Havenash, Helen blurts out, then corrects herself. What I mean to say is, not one person represents Havenash. That's the idea. Did not support the cordon, and they did not support your quarantine. So not. Well then, so glances at you. Anyone mind if I get myself up to speed here? He pauses, but you get the feeling he isn't expecting an answer. 1. The flux event, the very same destabilizing waves that collapsed the colonies on the moons of Ember, have reached the station. He holds up a stubby finger. 2. According to data Sleepers provided, these events are acting as a cover for some kind of intrusive protocol which is causing the real damage. Second finger joins the face. 3. The Shadow Protocol will do the very same thing it did to Ember's song. Step and hard and quickly. In short, it will shut down everything keeping this place alive. Third finger props up. 4. And this is my favorite. We have no idea who or what is doing this and why. Sol's final finger joins the other 3. Is that about the total of it all? There's also another flux event coming. Of course there is, Sol smiles finally. Sounds, Helen pauses searching for words. Intimidating. Helen turns to Sol. Did you manage to put any kind of resistance on the Ember's heart? Sol shakes his head. That's why we're here. The Pilgrim Fleet was the biggest ship to make it out unscathed, he paused. Suppose we didn't have this data. We didn't know what was eating up the systems. We all thought it was the flux. Helen looks at you. And I imagine you, Sleeper, and whoever helped you uncover this might be able to figure out the countermeasure? We can try. Helen nods in approval. Okay, so that's the start of it. If you forgive me, Sol cuts in. Part of why I was able to save as many as I could on the Ember's heart was that I gave up hope early. Sol shifts his weight on his suit, hissing. There were endless strategy meetings, system reboots, tests and trials, but I just got on with working on the Pilgrim Fleet, with getting people on board. So when the second and the third and the rest of the flux events hit, we were ready to go. So if I can offer you some advice, Miss Not Havenash, it's to give up on that line of thought you have, that hope, and to start the evacuation, or write the cycle. Sol looks out of the observation deck towards the Pilgrim Fleet. I've already started the process of converting the remaining volume of the Pilgrim Seed for human habitation. With Havernash's resources, I dare say we could finish the job with time to spare. So scratches his beard. I know it's hard and I know it's sun, but you have to give up hope. We have to run. There will be no heroes here, just those that keep living and those that don't. Helen listens in silence, making calculations. She looks out at the bulk of the Pilgrim Seed, which, despite all its vastness, is dwarfed by the eye as a whole. Something flickers in her eyes. She opens her mouth to speak. She stops, frozen. Let me think, Helen rubs her temple. I need a moment. Helen paces as you watch her. You realize how young she is, and how lost she is in the systems and protocols she has to navigate. You can almost see the strings and ties that bind her, glinting like webs on the white space of the observation platform. We purged the shadow protocol. Helen stopped pacing. But with what resource? The data you sent me, this thing is a shadow, uncontrollable, untraceable. Perhaps with the full contingent of the Havanach System Department, but that would require hundreds of work orders to be overlooked. Maintenance schedules abandoned. She looks away. Getting that through the console, would that even be possible? She glances at Sol, who's patiently watching, patiently listening. We have to try. Helen looks at the site again. I would take this to the council, force them to listen, force them to act. You both jump as someone loudly clears the throat nearby. Your eyes jump to the dark entryway Helen emerged from just a minute ago. What a cozy little meeting this is. A man steps from the shadow, dressed in the same stealth Havanach overalls, says Helen, and I must say some very incendiary rhetoric you're using, Consul Helen. You glance at Helen, and her face drops immediately. Camp, she curses under her breath. So shifts his weight on his cane, but otherwise remains still like a casual observer. Plotting against Havanach with an interloper, he gestures at all. Everyone will be disappointed in it. Camp smiles a bright smile. Some of the council had such high hopes for our youngest member, his smile drops. I, of course, never let novelty distract from the importance of experience. Helen staggers at Camp. Enough of this petty shit, Camp. You need to see this, she also at his side with an outstretched arm. The games are over. No more point scoring, no more lobbying. You and your hardliners need to stop. This is something real. Camp calmly closes the slide and prods the screen, scrolling through the flux data. His face betrays nothing, but you see some complex calculations flickering in his sharp eyes. Camp lowers the slide slowly and smiles at Helen. And what do you think this shows? Helen froze. Don't play games, you can read. The flux is a carrier signal for some shadow protocol, most likely corporate in nature. Maybe it's Solheim re-emerging to claim the station, maybe it's a takeover. But either way, the station is under threat. You're right about that, but the rest? Conjecture? Kemp rubs his chin. What we have is a virus in our system, which emerged precisely when the flotilla arrived. In fact, it times perfectly with the mysterious event that freed them. So what I see is a hostile cyber warfare attack, instigated by dissidents that fled Ember's moons after committing terrorist attacks on their own soil. Kemp's face darkens. That's the order of the facts, nothing more, nothing less. Facts I'll be happy to present to the council. Kemp tightens his grip on the side. Helen laughs. He thinks that's the only copy of that data? You're sanctimonious as shit? No, I don't, Kemp smiles. But who do you think they will listen to, Helen? Especially after I tell everyone about this little clandestine meeting. You couldn't win power by Havanach system, by your law. So you resorted to this, Kemp shakes his head. So I want to punch him so badly right now. The law's with me. It's as simple as that, he gestures, and out of the shadows 2 Havanach security officers appear. No, no need for that, Sol suddenly speaks up. His silence had meant Kemp had stopped paying attention to him, but for now you notice his back up of his own. A group of his crew stand at the edge of the room. They are carrying long boxy guns. You've never seen anything like them on the eye. Glossy XPR logos glint along their barrels. These are Ash's guns, of course. Kemp freezes, and the officer hesitates, holding back at the doorway. Be careful there, outsider, he stutters. Kill me and Havanach will never forget. So waves a hand at him. No one's killing anyone, so let's calm down, so scratches his beard. But I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Helen glances at him, and he gives her a gentle nod. And you'll leave your colleague here with me, he raises an eyebrow. We haven't finished our conversation. Kemp laughs and shakes his head. You're finished, Helen. The council will never allow you back after this. Then he turns and walks out of the observation deck, taking his officers with him. You're all paused to catch your breath. Helen looks ready to collapse. So flexes inside his suit, nodding at his crew to check that Camp is fully retreated. So wedges part of his suit back into place, grimacing. Your friend leaves a lot to be desired. He shoots a glance at Helen. Seems like support for the evacuation might be a hard task. Helen doesn't respond. She stared out at the pilgrim's seat once more, trying to process what's in front of her. She sighs and turns back to you both. I won't call for an evacuation, she looks at Sol. Maybe this is a fatal mistake, but I can't do it. I understand. But, she pauses, I won't block it either. If people want to leave, Havanach will let them. That's what I will propose to the council, she sighs, if they let me speak. You have to try. She nods at you and Sol and turns to leave. Sol is quiet. He scratches his beard. Good luck, he offers to departing Helen, but she does not respond. She leans on his cane. I'll be honest with you, Sleeper, none of this changes anything for me. The Pilgrim Sleep will be going on a handful of cycles, whether the Havanach wants it or not. How long? So grimaces. Honestly, as soon as we're ready, I'm not eager to run down the clock to the last cycle. So puts a hand on your shoulder. There's a berth for you, and for any you can gather, Sleeper. That much I owe you. And Helen? I shouldn't hope much hope for of her coming around, Sleeper. She's too tied up in all this. Won't let her, even if she wants to. He eyes you. Hell, I'd say the same about you, but you have a habit of proving me wrong. My crew will take me from you. Don't you worry, so straightens up. Oh, and thanks, Sleeper, for sending the data. I appreciate the extra info, and I'll see if it can help us shore up the Pilgrim seat against any future flux events. If we had you back on Amber's Yard, he pauses, suddenly losing his appetite for discussing the past. So signs. Of course, we're going to need all the help we can get. If you can spare some time, come to the Pilgrim seat, help me get it ready, bringing others. There's a future to be earned here, cycle by cycle. We will be leaving as soon as we are able. If you want to help us get there faster, well, you'll be welcome. He meets your eye. Well, he pauses, just don't keep me waiting, and he limps off towards his waiting crew. You pause for a moment, to let your thoughts catch up. Peak will want to hear about this. Should be your first port of call. As you enter the climbing briar, you immediately have to jump aside as Ash, sledging a master's crate across the cargo bay, pushes past you, grunting an apology as she does. Grab back. Ash doesn't look back. As you turn back to the bay, Peak pushes past you. Sorry, Sleeper, just a second. Peak rushes to catch up with Ash. Put that down, please, Ash, but she doesn't respond to your urging. We can't leave, not yet. Peak puts a hand on the shoulder. Please, I'm the only one here who can. The crate drops, and the sound of its impact echoes around the bay like thunder. Can do what, Peak? Her eyes are burning with anger. Save this place? Are you still that naive? We're running, Peak. We're running because this thing cannot be stopped. Couldn't be stopped by the XPR. Our home. Why would we stay to stop it here? Because we can, Ash. We can give these people a chance, Peak pleads with her. Like I gave the refugees a chance? Ash shakes her head. No, Peak. This is not on us. We barely made it out of the XPR. I worked for years to escape, and now you want to throw it all away? I left everything behind, my mother and my friends, to take you out of the place. She clenches her jaw. She turns and slams her hand on the crate, breathing hard. We go, that's the end of it. Peak turns away. You feel unsure what to do, but you know now's not the time for outside arguments. This is between them. Peak crosses the bay back towards you. I'm sorry you had to see that, Sleeper, they sign. Let's talk upstairs. Peak leads you to the entry ladder, taking you up out of the bay and into the habitation level of the ship. You follow them through the tight corridors, noticing the handwritten notes, the clutter, the repairs. The signs of a home. Here, sit. Peak gestures to the board mess table with its curved couches, and you sit in one. Peak sits opposite. They brush their hair out of their eyes and take a deep breath. So, how did it go? What did they say? Been waiting all cycle. Tell them about the evacuation. Peak nods slowly as you tell them about Salt's plan to equip the Pilgrim seat to take as many refugees as they can from the Eye. You admit you don't know how long you have before he leaves. An evacuation? Peak shakes their head. It's insane. Sol surely knows this can't work. Peak looks down. He just wants to keep running, to hold on to what he has. I can't blame him. They meet their eyes. What did Talon say? Tell them about camp. Peak looks increasingly troubled as you tell them about the hotline accounts like Cam's sudden appearance. Damn. Then Helena's going to have problems on her own to deal with. Peak shakes their head. Looks like we won't be able to count on anything from Havanach, they pause. What stopped Cam from arresting her? Tell them about the guns. Peak rolls their eyes. Of course, those are the guns Ash managed to smuggle through the refugees. The only didn't she tell us about? The one she didn't tell us about. Yeah, too much reading. Another thing that's on us. What's on us? Ash standing quietly in the doorway listening. You don't know how long she has been there for. Peak looks up at her with tired eyes. Sleeper found the weapons you smuggled from the XPR. Ash freezes. She glances between you and Peak as if this might be some elaborate joke. The flotilla used them? Ash moves on the doorway and enters the room. What happened? Peak interrupts. Be thankful that they didn't. They used them as a threat, that's all. Good. Ash folds her arms. You get the feeling that she knows Peak will not approve. Peak goes to speak and then decides not to take the bait. They glance at you. I'm sure you've heard enough of us arguing the cycle, Sleeper. Peak shoots a look at Ash. But our introduction of those weapons into the equation are just another reason why we cannot simply run away. Ash looks away but says nothing. She surely knows they cannot absolve themselves into responsibility here. So what's the motivation here? He realized that she still might be trying to protect Peak, even from themselves. Suddenly a shrill beeping fills the room, and Peak pulls onto their slide to silence it. But as they do, they freeze, their finger hovering above the screen, beeping continuing insistent pulse. What? Peak doesn't seem to hear you. They blink with glazed eyes at the sight. Then they let out the long exhale and tap the screen. The beeping shuts off, leaving a ringing silence behind. Ash froze at Peak, planning to explain. 12 cycles. Peak look vacantly up at you both. 12 cycle until the next flux event. They shake their head. I've been using the airways on the Briar to look towards the center of the system, to approximate where the CAN channel should be. Just this moment they detected a signal from the inner system. Given the distance and pattern of previous flux events, we have 12 cycles before it reaches the eye. The silence in the room is deafening. 12 cycles, that's it, before a second wave hits and displays. Peter interrupts your thoughts. We start now, that's the end of it. Peak stands up, face Ash. You want to take the Briar and run, Ash? It's on you, but I won't do it. They take a deep breath. I'll be here, Sleeper, for every cycle it takes trying to find a solution. I need your help. Their eyes meet yours, and you see a wild desperation flickering there. We will find something. The sooner we have a plan, the better. If it takes us 12 cycles to fix this thing, it will be too late. Peak's eyes flash with determination. They reach for a slate and pass it to you. So we can keep in touch. You pocket the thin, handheld terminal. And Ash? Peak stares, but he's gone, storming down the corridors of the ship on a path to who knows where. You know from experience that it's impossible to outrun your fears, but you get the sense that Ash will try you anyway. Peak rubs the red eyes and stares after Ash. Maybe it will take a moment before we start. They smile weakly, tears of exhaustion gathering in their eyes. See you back here soon, okay? And you slip from the room into the corridor. Peak's quietly sobs somehow carry through the ship behind you as you leave. 12 seconds. We can help the Peak run see just a little bit. I don't want to finish it though, because I want to help them. I don't want them to leave yet. As you stop to rest on one of the pilgrim seats, cavernous space, hopping up to sit on the supply crate, you hear a now familiar voice behind you. Sleeper, God, you hear Soulsuit hisses as he cranks up towards you. I knew you'd help us out. We sure do appreciate everything you do for us. No worries. I do mean it, Sleeper. He looks away down the bay to where the sparks jump from wheeling torches. It's a grim job to be doing without a few friends around. Soul sits beside you, flinching a little but making himself comfortable on the crate. Seems the word got out this way or that. He nods towards the welders a little way off, one of them wearing shipyard overalls. We had people flowing in from the eye looking for a place. In truth, it's more than I thought, Soul sighs, which means more mouths to feed, more bodies to house, more people to protect. Can we do it? So froze. We do what we can, as always. I'm not sure any of it can be enough. He looks down. We were supposed to stay here, not keep running. So ways away this thought. Don't listen to me, he gives you a sideways glance. Just a tired old man. He stretches. I have something to ask you though. What is it? With all these evacuations, well, we need a change in plan, he shrugs. Pilgrim C can't do it alone. We need the others to help out. We can carry them, house them. But that's all. Now you settle down the folks from Member Step and they send us supplies grown in those dust houses of theirs. If we could get more, he nods to himself. And then the Songs crew, he rubs his chin. What we need from them is guarding and security. We don't need that docking assets of theirs, but with some careful scavenging they could be our fleet. These folks, they know you, Sleeper. You earned their trust already, puts a hand on your shoulders. I sent my requests out and they seem to be complying. But I need you out there making sure the work gets done. Time is our greatest enemy now, Sol stares into the distance. I need you out there, speeding things up. Of course. Sol nods. Alright then. Climbs off the crate to see it hissing as he does. Think of this way. Either you won't have to deal with me much either way you won't have to deal with me much longer, he smiles an uneven smile. Unless of course you were planning to come along for the trip. I'm considering it, Sol nods. Lots to think about, he winks. Just don't let it get to you in your way. Sol waves a hand and starts off towards the bay entrance, the crackling sound of the wheeling quickly covering up his cranky suit. You watch the workers, the shipyard, contractors chattering among themselves, already looking like he belongs. You push the thoughts of escaping, of home, and of the future to the back of your mind and get up. There's always more to do. You better head to the other ships in the flotilla to see what can be done. Joke's on you. We are gonna devise a strategy. That's not gonna take some cycle, but it will take us a decent bit. We're gonna hope we can beat this thing, but we're also gonna definitely work on helping the flotilla. Because if worse comes to worse, we learned before that preparing for all outcomes is always the best thing. But hopefully we can actually save them. So let's try. Need to use this. And we have another active scene somewhere, apparently. Let's try to find that. I don't know where it could be. It could be back at the other side. Could also be somewhere here. Oh, there it is. There's two. Okay. The docking access is in chaos when you arrive. This deck had to burst of wheeling torches, the shouts of crews gathering, the rapid flow of supplies and kits from dock to dock. You can hear already that news of the flotilla imminent departure has reached this place before you. Come to join the Exodus, sleeper? Peter approaches you from one of the working crews, a smile on his face and a lightness in his step you haven't seen before. Are you enjoying this? Peter shrugs. Refitting our ships, building system, improvising solution. That's what half of us live for. Are you really surprised? Not at all. Peter laughs. Seem you have learned something about us after all. Peter eyes you. I suppose you are here on Salt's orders again, he winks at you. Nothing Ember's hard like to do more than ordering people around. I'm here by choice. Fair enough. Just the timing seems to always be a cycle or two after we get some request from a hardship. Shrugs, as an exaggerated shrugs. Must be a coincidence. Well, Sol has it lucky anyway. His request for us to dismantle the Axis and be the vanguard of the flotilla onward journey to the starboard bell aligns perfectly with our plans. Stay silent. If we can build our escape and make the hardships think we are complying with their orders at the same time, then there's a 2-in-1 for us. Peter shakes his head. Those idiots will never see it coming. You're leaving the flotilla? We're in our own flotilla, sleeper. Peter looks away in the busy axis. We aren't going to tie ourselves to heart and step any longer. Why would we? I understand. Peter nods firmly. Else you should. Peter looks down. Look, nothing against you or yours, sleeper, but we have to get out from under the shadow of step and heart. And this is the time, Peter grimaces. We won't let the flux catch us again, not a chance, and for the first time you see fear in his eyes. Want to help us make that leap? Grab a torch. Talk to our crew. You're welcome to it, Peter sniffs. Every person here is free to prove themselves. I help when I can. Peter nods. Just a stop on the road, sleeper. I'm afraid that's all this was. Peter glances out past the docking access through the outer windows to the stars beyond. A lot of space out there for those willing to take it. He looks you in the eyes. Hope you'll be around before we go, but if not, he smiles. Stay strong. And with that, Peter thumps you on the shoulder and heads back to his crew with purpose, a direction visible in every step of his rapid stride. Okay, so P plans a mutiny, basically. Or not really, but kind of. I knew you'd come. Aki greets you outside the dust house, her eyes as bright as always. You're welcome here as always. Good to see you, Aki. Aki smiles, and you, sleeper. Aki puts a hand on your arm. Walk with me. And she guides you past the dust houses. Look inside and see other members of the crew working in the orange dust, planting and tending to the steps ecosystem. We are to be the supplier for the evacuees. I'm sure you have heard. We will put the dust houses to use. She leads you past the dust house where the dust is less. The orange glow not as bright, the air a little more clean. We are adapting, slowly, but we are adapting. We have to produce food, clothes, necessary things for the journey ahead. She smiles. The plans of Steppe are once again sustaining a population, and that makes me proud. Ike stops at a half-empty dust house, scored off its hand, and is being filled with mold. You brought this from the Greenway. She stares at the green and brown. Strange sight even to you, now that you are used to the amber dust of Steppe. I admit, it's hard work for us. We are not familiar with these plants. Can you help us? Ike meets your eyes. I will do my best. Thank you, she nods solemnly. I know that the eye is suffering, that it's at risk. I know that what that's like. Thank you. I wish I had a lesson to share with you from our loss on Steppe, she shakes her head. But for the moment I cannot see what that might be. She gathers herself. If it gives you meaning, the work here is steady and worthwhile. But if you do not have time, she smiles a weak smile, I will not blame you. Hold on to your memories, but not too tightly, she pauses. Sadness will not sustain you. She fought silence, and you both watched the work in the dust house for a while. You can already see a green fringe of moss on the mulch in the dust house, the first signs of new life. Will you soon be like the people step leaving behind the home, or will you be stubborn and hold to your ground despite what it might mean? You wait a little longer with Aki, the moment of welcome suspension on time. A rare moment in this rush towards an end. You glance at Aki, and she puts a hand on your shoulder in solidarity. After a short while, Aki signs, "It's good to see you, Sleeper. Perhaps we will see each other again before we depart." She walks away, fingertips brushing against the glass of the dust house windows. Aki turns back for a moment as if she wants to say something, then thinks better of it and turns away. We have some ideas of what to do, so that's good. Let's end the cycle. Go towards the first of the 12 days remaining. Or is it day? Say 11 days remaining. Okay, we have very good rolls. Let's devise a plan with Peak, and that's gonna be our main focus for the points, and then just with the side points we're gonna do other stuff. But mainly this, because we need it. Let's see. Peak beckons you over the white mess table where they have set up a terminal. The hours of bleary eyes work had left you both drained, and Peak looks ready to collapse. You slide into the curved couch beside them, something dark and malevolent filling the screen like an oil stain. I'm sick of looking at this thin thing. Look again, Peak eyes seem to glitter in the screen light. This isn't what you think, Sleeper, not by a long shot. You look again at the screen, leaning close to the dark curved shape to see its texture. You see worlds and currents like a river, dark flow unlike the Shadow Protocol's dark tangle. More like the river we have in the Greenbelt? You know exactly what it is. You have swum in this river, almost drowned in its shifting flow. It's the groundless chorus, the dark clouds which blankets the Greenway's network, the bioorganic morass of a malfunctioning protocol grown vast and strange. I know this place. Pete glances at you. I thought you might have seen it, covering the Greenway like a shroud. Pete meets your eye. Everything I have tried to do to contain the Shadow Protocol has been a failure. It slips through any containment, absorbs any countermeasure. That unfortunately is an unavoidable fact. And yet, the eye still spins, the Shadow Protocol is being slowed, partially contained. It has spread across the station as we have seen, but it reduced pockets and in fragments. So I started to look outside of our test cases. Outside of these fragments, we have been poking and prodding in our later lab. Peak smells, and look what I found. Peak taps a key on their terminal, and you realize the screen is showing recordings of the data flown inside the eye's network, samples from hundreds of points around the Greenway. You watch as a supple shifts occur on the edge of the flowing dark curve that blankets the Greenway. Something spreading like ink stains, something darker and black. It bleeds across. The Shadow Protocol. Now watch, Peak eagerly points at the screen. You see something strange, fizzing at the edge of the shadow, sparking, and then it's gone. And beneath for a moment, a millisecond, you see into the networks of the Greenway. You are reminded of an image you had forgotten, pulling a plant in from its pot and seeing a bone-white root ball where you expected to see dark soil. The white connections right like worms. And then it's gone, the dark flow closing up as quickly as it opened. It dissolved the shadow? Exactly, Peak nods. It protected itself. You think back to your meeting with the gardener, to that sense of something old and world, and inhuman in its core. Peak excitedly starts to explain. This is the only chance we have, the only countermeasure we have seen. In the moment it opened, I detected something, a centralized intelligence with the local ID gardener. This protocol, this system, whatever it is, can protect its network from the Shadow Protocol. But if it stays in the Greenway, the eye will still fall. The station systems are too exposed to spread across the hub, the shipyards, the spokes. Peak glances away. The only way is to break it open, to spread the entity's network access it, expand it. Somehow, Peak pauses. You want to let the gardener out? Peak stands up and walks away a little. They lean against the countertop, their head hanging low that their low hair touches the work surface. You hear them breathing deeply. I don't know, Sleeper. They lift their head. I really don't know. It's a chance. Maybe. They shake their head. You know as well as Pete that this is it. You know it because over the past seconds we have run every simulation, every possibility you could think of, and still came up with nothing. You have started to stare at a hole in your screen and dreamt of a black shadow creeping in at the edges of your vision. Pete recognizes the look in your eyes, the potent cocktail of resignation and anger. Let's say we do this, Pete begins eyeing you carefully. What do we need? They begin to answer their own questions, thinking out loud. I suppose we need to do two things. Find a way to limit control the gardener's spread, and then reconnect the greenway. Pete starts pacing, the idea coming quickly now. Controlling the spread means preparing the station. Limit the gardener's network to key systems. We don't undertaking everything, we just needed to protect the station's core functionality. And we need to reconnect the greenway, hook it back up to the main line of the network. Those systems we prepared, they should connect, and Gardener will spread along the paths we prepared. At least this is my theory, Pete grimaces. But if we don't prepare correctly, the Gardener might not spread. Or it might spread to everything, Pete closes their eyes. And after that, things might get even worse. That's the risk. One hell of a risk, Pete nods. Pete sits back at the terminal and brings up a map of the eye. Rotational control at the hub, life support at the free spoke, power routing at the Havenot shipyard. They stop at the map with each one marking them in red. Then there's the central core, as I understand it, somewhere on the rim. I need to find it. They push their hair out of the face. We see the gardener in all these places, Pete pauses. But how are we going to do that? Bait the gardener's attention. Pete smells. Of course, the gardener needs plants to care for. That's what their protocol dictates. They must have been part of the farming management system of the eye, back when Solheim built it. We seed Greenway's plants into those systems, and the gardener will seek them out, protect them. Pete stares at the map of the eye. It's a wild idea, but it could work. But, they pause, we need a way into those systems. Havenash has most of them locked down for safety purposes. We can't just walk in. Well, I know a guy. Pete raises an eyebrow. Someone in the Havenash system team? You nod. After everything he dragged you through, you feel like Feng still owes you. Like, quite a lot, honestly. Time to pay him a visit. Okay, well, Pete looks at you sideways. I guess we should pay him a visit. Lead the way. You both leave the ship, carried forward by the excitement of the plan, an eagerness to not look at the details too closely. You push any lingering questions to the back of your mind. Time to head to Feng's Bay. I knew we would go back to him. I hoped for it, because he helped us out so much with, like, getting rid of the tracker. In the end, we got a new one, so that didn't help much. To be fair, the new one doesn't seem to do us any harm so far. But yeah, hopefully it will not do any harm at all. Wanted to see something. Okay, that blocked, so that's okay. Probably blocked forever. Pig's Bay. Seems to know, one in the office upstairs seems to know where he is. Difficult man. Okay, well. Let's take care of that and get him back. Well. That's okay. Hopefully it's positive, that will make things easier. Okay, neutral, that's okay. We can sleep here. Ah, that's another cycle wasted. 10 to go. Ouch. Man, that sucks. It's okay, we still have like full access to all of our stuff, so wanna fix the starring real quick. Perfect. I don't want to waste anything, so let's hope for neutral. I could have gone with the 2-1. Okay, amazing. That's it, no more wasting time. Pete sighs and pulls out their sight. They crack open a box on the side of the bay shutter and wire the sight full wets inside. Maybe your friend has a Havenach passcard or something inside. Pete shoots your glance. Something they wouldn't mind if we borrow. Let's wait. Pete doesn't look up. We haven't got time to wait, they sign. Coming here was a mistake. After a few tense moments, the shutter jerks and begin grinding open, the noise making a jump. Let's get inside, Pete glances around, quickly. Slip into the dock of the bay, punctuated by the blinking lights of Feng's parts of service, somehow even more disordered than before. Pete makes a beeline for the desk at the center, scattered with tools and components. They flick on the lamp and stare at the mess. Are you sure this person can help us? They are a little disordered. You're interrupted by the sound of footsteps from the entrance. Someone has come in behind you, Pete freezes. I could swear I closed the shutter when I left. Feng leans on a stack of service near the entrance. Must be getting forgetful, he grins at you. Feng! The very same, Feng smells. Feng raises an eyebrow. But you come rob an old friend, is that the plan? We need your help, Feng nods. We hear about the plugs. Pete nods, and is suddenly giving Feng their full attention. Feng smiles, pleased with himself. I guess that must. I saw changes in the old system architectures almost immediately. Some of them have been running since the first days of the station, and so when I saw a new pattern shift in logic, I knew something must have happened. These past cycles I've been doing a total inventory of the core system from the hub to the rim, he grins. Surprised myself, to be honest. I didn't think I had it in me. Peak seemed unamused. And what did you find? Feng signs. That's the thing. There's something all twisted up in the systems and protocols, but every time I look at it, it disappears. Peak finished. Feng turns to you. Do they always do that? Peak ignores him. It's a shadow protocol. It masks itself somehow, embedding into the gaps between the systems, in the negative space. It's slowly filling every system in the station, slowly taking over, and we need to stop it. You need to grant us access to our core systems in the station. Rotational control, life support. Feng holds up a hand. Whoa, slow down there. I don't even know your name. Feng shakes his head. And you're asking for the keys to the castle? Can't be done. Feng, it's me. Feng pauses and glances between both of you. How long have you known this one, Sleeper? I know I own you, but I also know that I trust too easily. Sorry to say it. Pete cuts it. I can vouch for myself. I came to the Eye on the run from the Explorer colony Hawthorne with the intent to keep running until we hit the stairway belt. But since I've been here, I've done everything in my power to protect this place. I've helped to stabilize the refugee flotilla, to investigate the flux, to identify and make a plan to purge the Shadow Protocol from the station system. Meanwhile, Havanach has done everything to stop and slow these actions. I have proven myself a friend to the people of the station, not the administrations, many times over, and I will be no doubt, and I will not be doubted by someone who wears the badge of this corrupt administration. Peak fixes Feng with a hard look. Feng looks down at his Havanach jacket and shrugs. Well, it's all that I have in my wardrobe. Look, I have some love for and I have no love for the council either. Friend, but someone has to run this place, and that someone is me. Feng walks over to the workbench where you're both standing and digs a slate out of the pile of tools. You want to prove yourself? Show me. Peak grabs the slate and you recognize the tangled form of flux notes on the screen. Peak immediately starts tapping away at it, its tendrils unwinding into shadow just slightly delayed, slipping out of sight. Feng leans in. Interesting, he says to himself. Before long, Peak has unfolded the system completely, and it lies splayed out like an unbound ball of strings. At the center, with nowhere left to hide, is the dark stain of the Shadow Protocol, visible for all to see. What now? Feng asks, his eyes fixed on the screen. How do you kill it? That's why we're here. Feng looks intrigued. Go on. There's one entity on the station that we have seen purging the shadows. The Gardener. Feng froze. Who's that? Some Greenway hacker? Peak glances at you. More like an avatar of the Greenway itself. You explain the Gardener to Feng, this feeling of descending into the flow or river of consciousness. You explain the network chorus, the non-human collective of voices. You tell them of the farming AI suffering to you, to be networked into the chorus, dissolved in its flow. Then you explain that by granting it access to the AI Major's networks, you hope to reinforce them. Feng is silent for a moment. And you want to let this thing out? He shakes his head. That's the kind of stupid plan I dream up. He pauses. I like it, he smiles. This place is rampant with protocols and forgotten intelligences anyway. What's one more ghost in the machine? Try to limit it, of course, Pika explains. That's why we want your help to access the AI's major systems, to send some of the Gardener's spores into them, to draw the Gardener's focus on those places. Feng whistles. So the way we save the AI is by growing mushrooms on all server stacks? He glances at you. Sleeper, congratulations, you found someone weirder than you. Yeah, I can see that. It's a kind of funny idea, you know. Pete goes to argue, but Feng holds up a hand. Then an all-system Havanach passcard with a picture on it. Take it before I change my mind. Thank you. Then don't mention it, Feng gives you a look. In all honesty, Sleeper, I was on my way back here to start tearing the place down. The Shadow Protocol had me spooked, so if you're telling me you have figured a way we might fight it. He looks at Peak. No matter how crazy, then I'm glad to help, he smiles a tight smile. Come with us. No, Sleeper, he looks away. I have to keep on with my work here. Strengthen those systems, back up the data. The worst comes to worst, I need to rebuild. I won't let this place die. The last piece of my parents are here among the data. Goodbye, Feng. Feng embraces you firmly. Stay safe, Sleeper. You take the cart and leave the bay with Peak. Once you are outside, they stop you. We should split up, Peak looks worried. We wasted enough time at this. Head to the facilities in the hub, the free spoke and the far side of the shipyard. See the Gardener there. I'm going to go find the core control center that's somewhere on the rim. They hit up the site. I sent you a message on your site when I have something. Good luck. They squeeze your shoulder and you exchange fearful looks. You know deep down that Peak isn't sure this will work, but they have decided to act, to move with confidence, and for that confidence we are very thankful. Hell yeah. We are not gonna let this go. Okay, we need a lot of... like a lot of spores. Let's go get them. The scrolling really takes the longest, I swear. 10 million years later. There we go. Hopefully we get 2 each run. Amazing. Oh! Amazing, and I think that should be enough. I think 6 should be enough, considering we have like 5 or 6 spots here. Okay, let's go with this. You know what? We can also plant it here. Okay, we only needed 3, that's okay. Technically, we got it in 3 cycles, we just used 6, so... worthwhile, I would say. Since we got double anyways, for our bonus. There we go. And then one more at the rim. Oh, wrong thing. Wanted to use an action instead of doing this. Okay. As you leave the site, Pete gave you chirps insistently. You checked to see a message, found a possible entry to the car facility in the low end. Meet me there, ASAP, Peak. A blinking marker gives their position as one of the 3 spoke sides of the main block. Better head to the low end. Amen. We're almost there. We're doing very good. At least so far. It will take a while though. You arrive at the coordinates given by Peak's site, a run-down but active corner of the land where a short glass-roofed alley turns off from one of the main thoroughfares. You head to the mouth of the alley, leaning against the wall and watching the street life go by. Children hop across grids scratched into metal floor plates, playing games of their own devising, while other older residents sit and talk or play tavla. It's hard to believe that all of this is a threat. It seems too concrete, so real. How can some intangible protocol erase all this? So you're watching, a voice calls out to you from the tavla table set up along the way. You move a little closer and recognize the sitting player immediately. Castor sits, tavla pieces on board, ready for him in front of him, smiling at you. Sleeper, my pet has not arrived for our usual game. Come, please, take a place. He beckons you over, standing and nudging you to sit down with him. Very much is in order. You owe me a game. Almost immediately, Castor begins the game. Everyone on the ice know how to place tavla. The methodical movements of the counters across their triangular points already fit for a rhythm of life on the ramshackle space station. Most games begin the same way, with each player moving with independence, focused on only achieving their optimal early game setup, but there's a moment in each game where it becomes necessary to notice the other players, to anticipate a crossing of the counters across the board. Point of contact, when routine becomes negotiation, negotiation becomes conflict. At this moment arrives the subtle shift in the texture of the interaction. Castor begins to speak. I find myself surprised by you continually, Sleeper. He looks over his glasses at you. The way you conduct yourself, for example, suggests an anxious refrain, a defensive, protective quality. But in your tavla games, he pauses a moment to counter, is the only risk. Have you been watching me? Castor sighs. Let's not be paranoid. You are aware of my interest in you, are you not? Risk is, of course, necessary to play tavla. To move a piece is to expose it, but it should be done with calculation, with proper analysis. Then if the piece is taken, Castor moves a counter, taking one of yours with a practice swap, placing it beside the board. It's already accounted for, but you move forward with abandon as if risk was just a secondary effect of action. Consequence, not its primary guide. He gives gestures for you to take your turn. A cause. I play my way, he smarts. Indeed, that's all I seek. You move your piece. This locks you into being reactive. If you don't mind me saying so. You're responding, which means you're being led. He leads back to considering the board. This place it mirrors you, Sleeper. It's also reactive. It was born from a crisis, the collapse of Soulline, and ever since it has been reacting without any central guiding principle. No analysis, no calculation. Just like at the refugee crisis, for example. It's all reaction, all risk-taking, and a little risk calculation. At first I found the chaos enlivening, especially when trying to track its outcomes, but now I find it exhausting. He laughs. It always amuses me that this place is literally spun from the rim. Below its very stack of habitation blocks is the most important control facility on the eye. Spun from the rim, he laughs again. What better metaphor could you find for disorder? His face drops. But why am I telling you that? The facility is precisely why you're here. He smiles an unsettling warm smile. You feel a shiver through your body as if something has changed in the air. What is this? No words come out from your mouth. You feel removed from yourself, watching from behind frosted glass. Your eyes dart side to side. Inertia sets in. Castor is still smiling. The risk you are planning to take here, Sleeper, is not yours to take. Castor's tone is unshifted. He speaks as if this is still some casual conversation between passing acquaintances. You're leaping towards a chaotic outcome with no respect for risk. You see, calculating outcome, that's my specialty. That's why I'm here. I was hired as a conduit for risk, as a collector of data that might pertain to its arrival. He moves his glasses to clean them, and you see something flicker across the surface, a shimmering stream of characters. The system, the station, is already yours. Solheim collapse meant the corporate fire sale. Assets changed hand. My employers, Senatstad, lorded the entire system, and for the past decades have been on it. It's one valid owner, he polishes his glasses diligently. But to process the system, the H1 system, he poses, healing to you, well, that is a matter of risk. How much force, how much cost, how much conflict a clearance would take, he replaces his glasses. That risk must be calculated against the favorable outcomes. In short, how much is this place worth to us? For a long time the answer was nothing. H1 could offer nothing that would warrant the risk, but the markets change, the demands shift, and Senate stayed. We analyze, we follow, we respond. He puts his glasses back on his face. H1 is what will become the most important system in this part of the galaxy. He glances around. The lone Khan channel operating with range of 7 or so newly surveyed resources-rich systems. The frontier town that feels the gold rush, so to speak. So here we are, re-evaluating the risk, reclaiming our property, setting up the Khan channel and clearing the way for what comes next. Sits back, looking at the board. He gestures. You move? Then it starts causing the flux. You manage to force out the words. Castor looks a little surprised. Senatstad is acting to reclaim the property from legal occupation, to re-establish H1 as a former colony of the surrogacy program. Of course, I do not need to explain myself to you, but in the role as an analyst, in my calculations, I see great promise in you. Your ability to enter systems to shift them to your will. Not every sleeper has the capacity. I assume you know that, he smiles. Truly is a wonderful happenstance of Asnar's technology. I imagine even they are not fully aware of it. He takes his move, claiming another one of your pieces, and as you watch you realize the inevitability of this victory. Words are hard. I will make you an offer. To come willingly or come by force. The station will collapse, we can be sure of that, but your ability to work with data, well, for an analyst, that's very intriguing. Pauses to push his glasses up his nose. Very intriguing indeed. Glances around. Come with me as a collaborator or as a prisoner. Consider the risk. On one hand, almost certain death, on the other, a possible future. Analyst or not, you must see it. Speak now, Sleeper. The game is forfeit. You must see that. He holds out a hand. You are of value. You are needed. You feel slight release on the inertia that grips you, enough to allow you to speak, to respond. You realize that you are already in Castor's hands, that you cannot move from this place if you want it. Sleeper, he had a familiar voice about across. Sleeper, I'm here. You run a bit to turn your head to see Peak, but you notice Castor's eyes following them as they come up from behind you. Then you see Castor's eyes glancing down towards his hands concealed beneath the table. Sleeper, Peak comes around the front of you and waves a hand in front of your face. We were supposed to be meeting, remember? They glance at Castor. Sorry, am I interrupting something? You cannot speak. Castor shakes Peak a white smile. Hello, you must be a friend of Sleeper. You watch one of his hands lift close to his body, some dark shape concealed in it. A weapon. You try to scream, to shout, but Castor's attention remains partially on you, and while it does, you can do nothing. Peak glances at your static form. What's happening, Sleeper? They put a hand on your shoulder. Are you okay? As Peak stares into your eyes, you see Castor behind his hand lifting, the dark object unfolding. In a split moment it does, you feel his attention shifting to Peak, shifting away from you. As you do, you feel the inertia lifting, and you know this is the only moment you will have to act. Shove. You lunge forward wildly like a sprung trap. Your head strikes Peak's chest and then carries them back into Castor. Somewhere some digital creatures echoing through the walkway. They stumble together and the object in Castor's hand skitters across the floor. You realize the screech is here. You get to your feet, grab Peak and run. You run as hard as you can, the scream chasing you down the walkways as you shove through the residence, Peak dragged behind. You run from the cold grip of whatever power Castor had over you, the signals that locked you into this body of yours. They broke the connections and crawled up your spine. Eventually stop, both you and Peak collapsing, heavily breathing into the cold metal floor. When you are able to speak, Peak asks you to explain and you tell them everything Castor told you. About Senate Stat, about the claim on the Helios system, the reactivation of the CAN channel, the Helios system growing importance. Flows out of you in desperate gulps, unable to believe your own mouth as you hear these words coming back to you. All you feel is the need to push back against the cold hand on your shoulder, the vast cold eyes that had turned to look at the system, the ghost glimpse of corporate control that are extending their reach. Peak is quiet for a long time, then they speak. We have to finish this, Sleeper, they meet yours. We have to complete the seeding of the system. We have to set the Gardener free. You're right. If the choice between the Gardener and these people, I will choose Gardener every time. There's the cold and steely. I would choose anything over them. You stand together. The final control facility is here. I found it. Peak looks at you grimly. I can take you as soon as you're ready. Time's almost up. This is the only shot you have. I need to explore it first, and I guess this will be limited. It says repeated by action. The question is so much. Well, let's take care of the cat for now. Calm us down with that. And then we're gonna end the cycle and try to fix this right now. We don't know what outcome this will have in the end, but we know it will not be one the corporation will like. And honestly, I'm pretty happy about that. I was iffy about this guy the entire time since he gave us the pass for the ship, for the side rail. Which means if we would have left, we would have left this whole entire station to collapse, which I'm not happy about at all. And I'm glad I decided to choose the path I did. Nerve-wracking. Yes, I'm starving. I don't care. I have no time for this. Sleeper, here, Pete calls you from across the flickering corridor. An elevator to the core, they smell. This is it. Has been a long set of cycles hunting for a path through the derelict layers of old Solheim offices and workshops, but finally here it is. The path down to the core. You rush over to Peak. See the doors grunt open, the dingy-looking elevator flickers as they do. You look at Peak, who nervously gestures for you to get in. Step in. The elevator bounces a little but stays stable. You glance back to see Peak watching you nervously. They follow you in sheepishly. Just a little nervous. Gabado? I want to Gabado. Peak reaches over and punches the button for the lowest level, flinching a little as the doors grind close. The elevator sets off, screeching through the floors as it does an unsettling loud volume. Feel more comfortable if you spoke, Peak raises their voice over the noise. It's not going to be a short trip. How's Ash? Peak paused. I was thinking more like small talk, elevator talk, they sighed. She's packing, they rubbed their eyes. Once Ash has set her mind on something, well, you know her now, you know what I mean. Screeching of the elevator fills the silence. Will you leave with her? Peak thinks for a moment. I don't know, Sleeper, I honestly don't know. Part of me wants to run, to keep running for as long as I can. I'm used to that. But another part is done with that. It's done with denying my past, my history. If I ever want to feel complete, to feel settled, I don't need to somehow resolve the person. Don't I need to somehow resolve the person I was with the person I am now? Peak goes quiet, and you do too. There are too many possible questions, too many possibilities before you. Just seems easier to get on with the task at hand and leave the consequences for later. The elevator screams to a stop and the doors swing open with a strangely cheerful beep. Glance at Peak. Time to move on. You both walk into the atrium, still lit by some ragged-looking like panels on the ceiling, one simulating a summer sky. Now degraded into a flickering blue and white tapestry of glitters. Peak crosses quickly, making a beeline for the large doors at the far side, where you can make out the fading sign in massive peeling letters. Central Control. You follow, helping them lever open the partially powered doors until the motors kick in and they spin to life. Thudding open, you and Peak tumble through across the damp metal. As you stand, you are greeted by flickering lights, thousands of them. A vast cylindrical stack of servers, processors, and transmitters dominates the center of the room, flickering LEDs reflecting in the scattered puddles that surround it. Despite the decay, the wrapped panels, and the water leaks, it's still running, just as it has for decades and decades since the station was first spun up. You wonder how long it has been since anyone has been in this room. You exchange wide-eyed looks with Peak. This place is still a living piece of history. What's this place? Peak stares. One of the central facilities of the station, the primary one for the rim, it looks like. They shake their head. The heart of this place. Peak takes a handful of mulch out from a small bag, glittered with spores. Now we have seeded this place. They cross the server and stop packing the mulch deep into the machinery, pushing fistfuls deep into grabs in the paneling, laying it across hardware. As you watch them doing this, you feel a tug, thread pulling at you. You approach the vast piece of cylindrical hardware that Peak is stuffing mulch into. You run your hands across its plated metal surface and watch the lights blink in response. As you pass, you are wearing like a physical disk drive starting up. Lean closer. You pull your face against the metal, smell the hot air venting from the hardware. Hard was the right choice of word, you think. The ring shifts, alternating, speeding up, slowing down, and as you listen, you hear it modulate into a voice. Sleeper, you phrase. You're here. For a moment you're afraid, but something in the tone of this voice is familiar. Navigator! Another drive spins up and another, giving the voice a richer, multi-tonal sound. I'd forgotten what it felt like to speak like this, the drive skips. There's a certain quality to it, certain physicality. What are you doing here? The drive squawks in unison. Did you imagine the flux, the shadow protocol that were just a problem for the people of the station? A high whining begins. They are all the more dangerous to us. I've been hiding in hiding once more, jumping from network to avoid the shadows as it eats up nodes. A low rumble. I had thought my hiding days were done. From the moment I found myself a safe haven here in the core, the shadow has yet to breach this facility, although that's a temporary state of affairs. The rumble stops. My predictions do not point to good outcomes. We have a plan. Yeah, a bit of overtime today, but this is literally the last part of the game, and I wanna not have the last part of the game be like half of a stream next time, and then having to start with like a completely different game, you know what I mean? You explain to Navigator about Peak's plan, about Gardner's resistance to the shadows, and how by sending key systems you will protect them from its advance. They drive some thoughtfully as you speak. A desperate plan, the drive worse, but appropriate given the probability of total collapse. I'm not sure what will be worse for us, hiding from the erasure of the Shadow Protocol or the assimilation of Gardner. The drives pause to rest. But we owe you your freedom. I will do what I can to guide the Gardner into the system you have seeded. Pause. It is correct to do so. Be careful. The drives squeak in affirmation. You have notable persistence, Sleeper, even with such poor probabilities of success. I will be curious to see the outcome, the drive squeal the motors give out. This cannot be sustained much longer. Good luck. Find a squeak of affirmation, and then the drive skitter and slow to a halt. Step back from the towering cylinder, staring at this vast piece of Solheim's hardware. This whole place is built from ghosts, you think. From old protocols and company hardware, from engines that drove decades of corporate expansion. Is the eye proof that they can be shifted, bent, forced into new configurations that allow for new ways of living? Or is it inevitable collapse proof that these engines of expansion can never be anything other than a corrupt foundation? It seems to depend on who you ask. Done, Peak shouts, breaking your line of thought. The heat and damp should help the spores germinate quickly. If we are lucky, there's enough time for some growth before we reconnect the Greenway. They glance at you. That's all. All the facilities see that, they sign. We either just ensured the eye's survival or suffered a whole lot of or stuffed a whole lot of soil into one of its most important computers. They laugh weakly. Shall we go? They start to head back towards the doors and the elevator beyond. Follow. You turn your back on the car and follow Peak back into the elevator. So you ride the car back up. Peak raises their voice over the screeching. I'm going to the Founder's Gap to finalize the connection. The moment I'm ready, I'll let you know and we'll let the gardener road. The sooner the better, Peak furrows their brows. If we wait until the final cycle, it'll be too late. If you want to help speed things up, go work with the flotilla. We can't make the connection until we know they are ready to go. Peak swallows. Unleashing Gardener could affect them too if we aren't careful. This will work. Peak nods, opens their mouth to speak and closes it again. You ride the rest of the way in silence. When you reach the top, you go your separate ways, but before you do, Peak embraces you, by burying their face on your shoulder. Stand there together for a moment, spinning with the eye, moving relentlessly towards an unknown future. And then they let go and slip away, the pressure of their hug fading like a bruise as you begin to leave. This situation's thoroughly awful. Absolutely, thoroughly awful. Yikes. We did get a decent bit of mushrooms from harvesting the spores though, so let's use them to do something. And then let's end the cycle. Gonna double feed the cat here, but that's okay. Oh, I'm nervous. I'm pretty sure this will work. But we have to put some more work in to make it work. This is 4 of the 12 cycles. So hopefully we can be more than quick enough to do this. Hopefully this will not take too much longer to fix things. Cross the greenway. So your Peak sits at the gap somewhere. So we are gonna wait. Let's help them. Doesn't matter, we have bonuses for both. And we get very good rolls for the final part. Okay, leave, eat, sleep, come back, repeat. One upgrade point here. I don't think we get anything close to enough to like finish anything, and since this is the last part of the game, I knew it would kind of happen that we don't have enough points for everything, but we don't need enough points for everything. We got everything upgraded that I want to upgrade. We got a decent bit of bonus or something, so, you know, whatever. Okay. So yeah, once I finish this, we can go back to Peak, I guess. Pete. And one more. We only can evacuate the eye right now, so let's do that. You sit on the corner of the dust house and inspect your work. This dust house is one where plants from the greenway and some of the steppe species intermingle has become your favorite. The moss and dust sharing the space is curving terraces. The pale knots of steps are freckled with yellowing lichal symbiotes. It's a hypnotic arrangement. You look down and see the intertwining of fungal threads and dust-cracked roots, and feel a little glow of pride at what has been achieved. You hear the entry lock of the dust house haze open, and assume it's Aki turn to greet her. Sleeper, I should have known you'd be here. Riko smiles a warm smile, leaning on her crutch. You must be one of the most green-fingered people on the station. Riko! Now, it has it been so long? She smiles a very smile. No need for any drama. I met some of the steppe refugees on the greenway. They were gathering plants and I confronted them. Turns out they were very friendly, she smiles to herself. Aki was very apologetic, but I told them they were welcome of anything they liked. She told me I'd be welcome to come see, and well, I thought I'd take her up on the offer. She looks around the dust house with its strange hybrid ecosystem. I have to say, I'm glad I did. You know Aki? A little, she pauses. She's a fine botanist, and an even finer conversationalist. 2 rare qualities on the station in my experience. Riko limps over to you. She holds out a hand. How about you take me on a tour? You take Riko's hand and walk her around the hybrid dust house. You show her how the steps and knots help provide a strong base for fungi and glycal growth, and how the dust mixes with the spores. You show her the different species of step tubes and the way they feed the soil with nutrients that help herbaceous greenway plants thrive. She nods, along her eyes bright with ideas. She stops after a while and gestures for you to sit together. I know something's happening with the ice sleeper. She looks out at the plants. We all felt the flux event hit, and everyone's talking about what's next. Came out here to figure something out, to understand what it might do about it all. Glance at her and see the ghostliness in her eyes, and I think I have decided. What you have done here, what Aki and the other steppe refugees have done here, is incredible. A whole new ecosystem built from the strange artificial change remains of two worlds. But I'm not of two worlds, I'm of the eye. Her terror runs down her cheek. Like it or not, and entwined with the station, I'm old growth. Don't have that much time anymore, and it seems to accelerate with every cycle, she frowns. It blurs together, separates, overlaps, comes back to me in strange ways. The time I do have, that's time I want to spend on the eye, in the greenway, watching things grow, she whites her cheek. One day I'll lie in those fields and not get back up. She smiles, and the tear tracks down both her cheeks. When the green takes me, I'll be so glad. I miss you, Rika smiles. The feeling's mutual, sleeper. She wipes her eyes and turns to you. But it's enough of me blubbering on about it, she furrows her brows. What I want to know is what you're planning. I'm staying. Rika smiles. We have to get to know ourselves, sleeper. To know what is that drives us. I'm sure you decide to act in a manner you know. But you also have to ask yourself, why is it so? She places a trembling hand on yours. Don't neglect that. Oh, she suddenly lifts both hands. Don't let me forget this. She reaches into her coat and pulls out the transparent bag of sporing clubheads, which carefully preserved root systems. I like to plant these. If you go, you need them. She looks down at her feet. And if you don't, well, maybe another sleeper will benefit, she throws. I can offer that at least. Thank you, she nods. Don't thank me, these are yours by right. Rico stands and limps over the pile of mulch. She delicately takes the clubheads out and beds them into the soil there with precise, expert hands. You should go, sleeper. It'll be a while, she calls back, not looking away from the drop at hand. See you around, she says that casually, but there's a note of finality in the speech. See you around. You turn and leave the dust house, cycling through the prospective logs back to the cool quiet of the ship. Aki's waiting for you. It's beautiful, she looks through the observation window and the green reflects in her eyes. The plants look happy together. She spots Rico with her hands in the soil. Ah, the botanist came. She shouts to your look. A friend of yours? More than that. She nods. She speaks beautifully about the greenway. Should go in and welcome her, she pauses. Are you leaving us? For now. Aki sighs. The first of many goodbyes. She suddenly embraces you, wrapping you in her layers of rough cloth. She pulls back. I wish you a steady step and a clear path, she smiles. A farewell from my world. I wish you the same. She nods and smiles one last warm smile before turning and entering the dust house. You watch as she walks inside, Rico turning with a smile to greet her. She kneels beside the old botanist and you see her pointing to the clubheads asking questions. You are unable to hear them, but despite that you can easily imagine the measured, even tone laced with excitement that Rico is using to explain the clubheads, the greenway, and much, much more. Reggie giggles. Heck yeah, sorry. Let's hope this works. And also feel free to join in, for those who want Pokemon Reggie giggles is a strong legendary, so, now's definitely the chance to do a poker catch. You turn, leaving them to the conversation. You step aside despite the burdens you carry, and the smile Rico and Aki were sharing is still on your lips as you depart. I really hope this works. Don't want to waste any other, precious ball, but, yeah. And this just loses energy and I have a bonus, so let's do this. Okay. Sleep, help them out, talk to them. Sleep, go to the other place, talk to them. Yes, we're starving, but that's okay. We can do that after we spend our time up there. I'm just gonna buy some supplies later. I don't wanna go back into the other part to get into the kitchen, even though we have the mushrooms. I got it! Nice! I can't believe that. Didn't think I did. I would get it, but it worked. And hey, we got some energy from the things we just did, so actually, we don't have to eat, we can just go back. We are gonna lose one of the dice though if we don't use one of the stabilizers, and since this is the end, I'm just gonna freely use it. Normally I would try and like work without it, but considering that we just are finishing everything up, that's very nice. Okay, now I'm starving again, but again that doesn't mean anything. Maybe we get some energy back from this one. And last one. Yay, starring! Yeah, great. Yeah, see? We got one. The docking axis is little more than a shell. Everything that could have been pulled from its interior, every arm not used for docking, has been cut away. What remains is a Spartan void with a patchwork of flooring that allows movement. Parts of usable materials are tucked away in corners, but almost everything else has been cleared out. You haven't seen Peter since you last spoke. Now you are realizing that you probably never will. There are plans to be made, escapes to plot. The shadow of heart to escape. On the cycle the flotilla leaves, the ships will disperse too, the moons of amber spinning out the different orbits. The chaos has become a quiet diligence now. As the time for departure is so near, crews cross the axis from ship to ship at speed, bringing supplies or advice, perhaps meeting up to discuss travel vectors in hushed tones, or debate why they haven't left yet, and whether they should. Among these singer crews, recognizable for their specialist clothing and often shorn heads, you see the occasional refugee. A paying passenger or a replacement engineer or pilot perhaps come from the eye to seek fortune with the singers. Most of the crews have 2 or 3 of these editions, some more, and you can't help but wish that, whatever reason brings them to throw their lot in with the singer crews, they will have safe passage. You feel a strange attachment to these citizens of the eye, setting out for the first time. And then one of them catches your eye crossing an axis with a crew carrying a large bag and a nervous look. Tale, you freeze for a second. What's she doing here? The bar owner, I should say. She glances around, freeing your eyes on her, and catches your eye. Her face brightens immediately. Sleeper, Tala mutters something to her crew, and rushes over, dumping the large bag at your feet and embracing you without thinking. Good to see you, she pulls back. And you, she smiles, but then it quickly fades as she realizes the context in which you're meeting. She sheepishly glances at her bag. Sleeper, she pauses. She pauses again, folding her arms defensively. I'm going to the starboard belt. She waits for your response nervously. Why didn't you say? She sighs. Do you remember me mentioning my family, Sleeper? My brother. You think back to your Girol blurred conversation in the back of the battalion. That name is so hard to pronounce. Came here with me, with my family, when we were little, just after we left Sinza. She bites her lips. He left when we were both teenagers, jumped on some spacer crew heading to the starboard belt. She sighs. I'm an idiot, she shakes her head. I'm going after him. She looks down, not sure what to add. That makes sense. She looks at you. It does? She laughs nervously. I'm not too sure anymore. I really don't know if it makes sense or it's the right thing, but ever since I heard that was where the refugee flotilla was going, well, I couldn't stop thinking about him. What happens to the bar? Someone will have to run it, she leaves a long pause. I mean, I can ask Francis, he'd be happy to, or one of the others, she blurts out. And of course, if you were leaving with the flotilla or someone else, it'd be totally okay, you wouldn't need to say yes. It's no pressure, it's fine, whichever way I was just thinking. I could run the bar, Tella nods smilingly. I think so, I mean you can take a second. But she glances at the crew she was working with, who were chatting a little ways away. There's not exactly much time. So consider that, she grabs the key hanging around her neck, the key to the battalion. Do we want it? Yes. Tala leaps forward and embraces you again. Thank you, Sleeper. Couldn't be leaving it in better hands. She pulls the key from around her neck and places it around your chest, if presenting a medal. Remember to lock up, especially the bag, and remember to empty the still if you're leaving things closed for a few cycles, and she stops herself. I won't be gone forever, of course, she blinks away a tear. come back and check in. Maybe once I find my brother. She pauses, unable to finish that thought. She smiles at you and you can see a weight lifting off her shoulders, her eyes already drifting towards the crew. The ship, the next big thing, she's ready. Better be going, she nods at the crew nearby. Not a good start to keep my guys waiting. She lifts her bag onto her shoulders. She looks down at the curve of the eye towards the overlook. Thanks again, Sleeper, for everything you helped me with. She nods. Wouldn't have been able to leave if I hadn't made things work here. She adjusts the bag. Dad wouldn't have let me. See you around. She nods. Hope so. Then Tala turns, heading back to the crew who will carry her to the starboard belt. You watch her go, and despite the departure, it's hard to feel sad about Tala. You know her energy will carry her forward, and you hope her brother is somewhere on the right path. You hold the key in your hand, the metal still a little warm from Tala's body. You turn it over in your fingers, thinking about how it feels like the tool and the burden. You can still lock up and leave, you figure, but now that will feel like breaking something fragile. And if you stay, well, who knows what this little metal promise might grow into. I mean, it is a chance for us to have a permanent other place. We always have, like, workplaces we could work with. But this place is truly one we helped build up and where we can work and live and, you know, as a sleeper have a different life instead of between helping all the people and just being like shoved place to place like we have right now. So it is actually a good option. Also, we're almost done, so let's see what this holds. Next cycle should be the end. Likely. We're gonna ignore the starring. It's whatever, maybe we get some energy back from when we do this. Considering we have a decent bonus here, it doesn't matter anyways. Okay. They just keep coming. Perhaps the Flux event scared enough people that they really believe the eye will collapse. Perhaps they're sick of Avanash, of the consoles in flight, and the hardliners. Or perhaps they just want to take a chance at some new future, a place that's anywhere but here. Whatever it is, the evacuees don't stop. They come on the flotilla shuttles, on their own ships, however they can. You see so many faces pass, they are almost meaningless now. Parade of features that seem both familiar and distant. You've been helping people, lifting bags, bringing in supplies, directing them to the berths you helped build. Some of them recoil from your torch, still unfamiliar with sleepers. Others treat you with pity. Some hate snatching back their bags and storming off. Still, you help. You carry boxes and bags. Nothing can stop you. Even if they face us with contempt. You don't look for Sol. You know he's busy, just like you, trying to make things work, trying to fit as many people as will come onto the pilgrim seat. You know you will see him before all this is over. You keep working, but there's something in the back of your mind, something eating away at you. You try to push it into the back of your thoughts, but it keeps coming back. The eye is over, that's the thought. That's the eye. That the eye, even if the flux doesn't get it, it's on its way out. How can it survive when these floods of people are leaving it behind? The thought that troubles you because it makes you question why you have held on here so long, in places that seem so temporary for so many people. Are you just a stubborn idiot, someone who didn't get the message? Or are you strong, committed for the lasting storm, foreseeing the collapse coming and facing it head on? Because there's something you're sure of now. This place, like all places, is temporary. And as each phase passes, each family packs up and gets on board the pilgrim seat, it feels even more temporary, even more fragile. Which means it's either desperate it needs to protecting, or it's desperate it needs to be left behind. The choice is yours. Yes, and we will make a choice that goes for protecting. Because I will not leave what we build up here behind. I'm way too attached to it. You know, the Ring of the Eye is like what we help build up, we help to maintain, we help so many people on here, so many people life has improved, so many people's life we've witnessed, and I just don't want to miss that. Yes, it can happen when we continue here. Okay, let's finish this. I guess that's the most bonus, I guess that's the most plus. We packed the facility, so now we should be able to go to the gap. And there's nothing else here anymore. Let's visit the Batayan once more and cook something here. Because this is our place now. And then let's try and find Peak. Or I guess we need to sleep before we can find them. Let's rest, let's rest. Even if we have some stuff. I don't want to bother, like, he can go for anything else. I'm gonna feed the stray still. But we only have like 3 days till the flux, so... Nothing left to do for us here. We need to end this cycle, so I need to figure out where to go. I don't see anything where we can go. So I guess we're just ending the cycle. Which is dangerous because we're very close to the end of this. Oh, let's see if we get something. Yep, okay. Peak slate trips in your pocket, you take it out. A message, the connection's ready, meet me at the Brundles Gap, Greenboy side, Peak. You clench your jaw, it's time. Yes, it absolutely 100% is. Let's do this. Last part of this game. You find Peak waiting near where you first met, at the entrance to the docking tunnels for the Brundles ferry. They are leaning beside the wall in the flickering light, and you realize now how different they look from when you first met. There's a darkness around their eyes, a sense of exhaustion to the pose, but also a solidity, a sense of purpose and self-knowledge. They look concrete for want of a better word, solid. Sleeper. They spot you and a small smile crosses their face. Glad you came. Wouldn't be anywhere else. A smile grows. Crunch time. They shake their head in disbelief. Let's go. They break in the connections up ahead. They walk away from the docking tunnel to the ragged, half-crushed corridor that descends into darkness. They poke their sight and torch flicks on, lighting the way ahead. As they descend through the layers of the broken edge on the eye, Peak talks, filling the silence. I had to hand all over this part of the eye to find the point where the connection was broken. They run a hand along the buckled metal of the walls, stooping under the iron-built ceilings. This hole, the gap, got knocked in the eye when Solheim collapsed. It's impossible to tell who did it, but my guess is they tried to scuttle the eye. Solheim couldn't keep hold of their fancy new stations. Well, no one could. Peak ducks through a fractured passageway with hanging wires like veins. So, this place has always been on borrowed time. I've managed to weave together the old connections and run a new patch down to where the main line still runs through the remaining ribs of the rim. They smile. Just like keeping those old XBR platforms running. Ash would be proud if she bothered to help. As Peak goes quiet, the corridor opens out into a wider twisted passage, with compartments on either side fake whirling. There, this is the connection point. You can see where Peak has levered off a panel and hooked up a thick cable to the existing hardware. Thick as a tree trunk, it snakes off into the darkness ahead. A yellow ring marked it to look like some huge and exotic serpent. What now? Now we make the connection, Peak pauses. You both stand there staring at the point where the cables meet and the old one, the ends separate. Fitted with multi-pin male and female connections, and braced inside a metal framework with a scissoring mechanism. Bring them together, seal them, and the greenway will be connected to the rest of the eye for the first time in decades. Peak shifts the weight onto one hip, pushing their hair out of their eyes. I feel like this should be more momentous. Like, there should be some ritual or ceremony. They pause. Or someone should stop us from doing this crazy thing. Just do it. Peak nods. Pull the plaster off, right? Okay. They hold both sides of the supporting framework, ready to scissor it close. Here we go. Peak wrenches the framework closed, and the connectors thunk together, with a sound that echoes down the ruined corridor into the dark on both sides. Both you and Peak wait, with bated breath, unsure what is it you're waiting for. Do you expect the eye to suddenly stop spinning, or lurch on its axis? For the power to go out, or shockwave to run through the corridors of the rim? But in the 5 minutes where you were away, yeah, it's okay. You meet Peak's eyes and suddenly they burst out laughing. What are we waiting for? They put a hand on their forehead. I feel like we just planted a tree and are expecting it to burst out of the ground. They shake their head. But you feel it flowing like a stream that has been released from a cave and rushed out into the sunlight, crystalline and clear. You swear you can hear it running in the wires like water, like rain, like steam. It doesn't roar or rattle, but it rustles and dries, there, like liquid roots. Peak sees the look in your eyes and stops laughing. You can see it, can't you? You can't see it. Not with your eyes at least, but it's everywhere, and now it's out. Can't be put back in, that much is clear. You imagine the rim of the eyes like sponge, like soil soaking up the garden and the chorus, the gaps filled with bubbling, constant, growing life. Peak stares at you, waiting for something, anything. Gardener's free. Peak nods slowly and closes their eyes. They go to speak, but words fail them. Suddenly Peak's light chirps. They jump and scramble for it, almost dropping it in the process, but when they stare at it, a look of confusion crosses their face. Is it the gardener? Peak's mouth falls open. It's Ash, they swallow. She's leaving. They look at you with panic. Before you can speak, they have turned away and are moving back to the passageway. You back towards the entrance. Peak! They don't turn to respond. And you watch the silhouette lit by the slate torch disappear rapidly around the corner. You take out the sight Peak gave you and you turn the torch. The wires all around look like pale roofs on the harsh light, and you turn away from them. They're the gardens now. You work your way back through the corridors, retracing your steps. You imagine Peak panicking, running towards the corner and realizing that their greatest fears come to pass. You wonder if they will be able to persuade Ash to stay. If Ash is going, you think, then the flotilla must be leaving too. Thought makes you shiver in the darkness, and you push it away. You're not ready. You focus on avoiding the hanging wires, the low ceilings, and make your way back out into the lit corridors of the Founder's Fairy Dome. Castor's waiting for you. He holds up his hands. No, sleeper, no need to fear. He raises his eyebrow. Understand now, it was my mistake to try and force you, a miscalculation. Get lost. I understand you are angry. That's a reasonable action. He pushes his glasses up his nose. I only ask that you continue in the spirit of being reasonable and allow me to state my case. Won't hold you here, sleeper. Castor stands to the side, but I wish to speak. Listen. You stop giving Castor his opportunity. Castor nods. At first I thought that if you'll excuse the turn of phrase, taking possession of your particular talents was the opportunity. He smiles a broad smile. But you're more than that, and I understand that now. Your arrival on the station, your ability to touch the networks, this makes you the very definition of a wildcard. He touches the rim of his glasses. Since it starts my analysis, we could never have accounted for you. This system, the Helios system, is about to experience a significant change, about to open up to sentient stats bailiffs, convoys claimants, and even industry and elements, an active can-channel brings. It is very cycle you let another wildcard free. Gardener. I have to admit, this development makes me afraid, sleeper. Makes me afraid what an intelligence like this will sacrifice to protect itself, or what atrocities it might commit through madness. And yet, Castor Iceland, what a compelling object such an intelligence is. Let me protect you, mark your yard. Keep Zen and start from eliminating by force illegal expediency, as they will with every other squatter in this ring. Castor clasps their hands together, and in exchange when Senate Stat comes for this place, you facilitate the handover. Claim the protocols you give us Gardener. Never. Castor takes off the glasses, polished them. Disappointing, you begin to leave. As you approach, he speaks quietly and urgent whispers. I do not wish to see you lost. You are of great value. If you ever want to see that realized. You push past, ignoring him, and his voice fades. The last you see of him is a slow nod. Perhaps a mark of resignation or just another deferential gesture aimed at manipulating your response. It doesn't matter either way, you are done with him. And done with any corporations like this. Yet towards the cordon, Peak and the flotilla on the forefront of your mind. Yeah, no, fuck that guy. Frankly, fuck that shit. I don't care for anything else in this regard. You arrive into chaos at the cordon. Find the shuttles are leaving the ramshackle docks and are formed along the edge of the gap during the flotilla's stay. As they do, groups of evacuees pass on word, hoping to be among the final people to escape from the eye. The fear created by the Flux event became a series of rumors, and those rumors have driven many of their homes. Others have staunchly doubled down on their position on the eye, refusing to accept any gossip of second collapse. You are unsure what you think. Is the collapse a certainty? Will Peak's action this cycle have changed anything at all? You are tired of these questions and instead set out to look for your friends. Quickly spot Peak and Ash at the far side of the chaotic bay. Quickly make your way through the crowd, slipping between the gaps and the rushing evacuees, stepping over bags and luggage. Progress is slow, but as you approach, you can hear the voices over the crowd. You try and push closer, but there are many evacuees gathered around them and their shuttle. You have made your decision, Peak, and it puts you against me. Ash standing with one foot on the boarding ramp while Peak agrees with her. The evacuees are eyeing them, eager to intervene, but intimidated by Ash's evident strength and attitude. Ash, doesn't have to be like this, Peak looked desperate, tears tracks already on their cheeks. We can find a way. Ash shakes her head. I've always protected you, Peak. I've taken you under my wing. But I understand yet you are not mine to control, and you have chosen to be here, not with me, despite everything. I've chosen to stop running, Peak cries out in frustration. You can choose to stop running too. We can stay here and try to live. Don't you remember what it feels like to live, Ash? Ash turns away. I remember what it was like to live on Hearthstone, what it was like to be worried for your safety every cycle, to live under the control of my mother, of the administration, to work to maintain something that no one wanted, no one needed, so that our corporation could maintain a foothold in the system. You talk as if this place in the very same system is any different. What is here but the same grind for the masters, for employers, administrators, for those who gain from our struggles? There may not be any corporation controlling the eye, but there's control, there's power in action here. So what then? Peak shouts. You run from anyone or everyone who could ever be close to you in search for freedom? In search of the perfect place where no one has power over you? Peak's crying openly now. I want to be part of something, Ash. Even if it is broken and suffering, even if it cannot be free. Ash pauses and takes a deep breath. She nods, her eyes closed. This isn't half one anymore. We aren't tied by our childhood or by our shared need to escape. We are both just people in the system. She opens her eyes. I release you, Peak. You are free of me. Ash, please, they held out a hand. There's a life here if you want it. Ash turns and smiles at Peak. Her eyes went wet too now. Then you live it for me, Peak. I can't. And she climbs up the boarding ramp, the evacuees taking their chance to climb on board too. You watch as the shuttle closes its ramps, lifts off, and leaves the bay. The crowds are dispersing by now as they get onto the shuttles or saying their goodbyes and moves back to the main part of the cordon. You push past the last of them to reach Peak. Peak doesn't turn as you come closer. Sleeper, Ash is gone. She chose to leave, Peak nods. I've known her my whole life, they wipe their face. But since we arrived, we've been going different directions. They turn to face you. I miss the Briar, but she serves Ash well, I know that. Sleeper, the shouts takes you by surprise, and as you turn you see Sol coming across the bay towards you, the last two shuttles loading up behind him. He reaches you, his hoot hissing as he does. Can't believe you'd make an old man run across the bay to get here. Pauses to take a breath. The singers have gone. They left at the start of the cycle. They broke away from the flotilla. Smiles you think of Tala safely created with one of those singer ships on her way to the starboard belt and hopefully a reunion with her brother. Godspeed, Tala. What are you smiling at? Sol interrupts your thoughts. They forced our hand. We have to leave now. Sol shakes his head. If we follow close enough behind, maybe they'll end up being our scouts anyway. I reckon any hostile vessel out there will give them a wild berth. Pilgrim Seeds will need a little time to make our way out of the cordon, but I'm heading back now to get her started. Thankfully the step ships are sticking with us, so we'll be plenty well supplied for the journey to the bed. Pauses. Anyway, I didn't plod all that way over here to tell you that. So looks between you and Peak with raised eyebrows. It's now or never, Sleeper. I'm the good to my word, and I kept birth for you. But this is your last chance to take it. He scratches his beard. Make a call. You glance at the flotilla beyond the bay, beautiful in the light of Helios' sun. You think of the long journey to the starboard belt, of the people inside the Pilgrim's seat, of the possible futures that await. Then you think of the people here on the eye, of Peak beside you, of the Matean, of Tala, and the key that still hangs around your neck, of promise and possibilities. I want to stay. I said it from the beginning. I will be staying. You open your mouth to speak and realize this is the final time you will make this choice. You have to be sure. I'm staying. You say the words, and the moment you do, the weight of it all seems to descend on you. You stumble a little and then stand straight, refusing to be crushed. You feel a tightness in your chest, and the haze blurring your thoughts. So not. Good luck, he sighs. You need it. He grips your shoulder and meets your eyes. In the haste, its pitted and rough hands feel so real, so detailed that it drowns you. And then it's gone. And so goes with it, quickly moving to the waiting shuttle. As he does, you watch, unable to speak, your whole body pulsing. And then the other hand falls on your shoulder, and it grounds you once more. You turn to see Peak's bright eyes. Let's go, sleeper. You nod and see how unsteady you are on your feet. Peak puts an arm around you and steers you towards the entrance to the bay. As they do, you hear the row, feel the winds as the shuttle lifts off, and angles towards the flotilla. You don't turn, instead you keep your head down and focus on each step. As you do, you feel Peak beside you, holding a little of your weight, and as you hold a little of theirs, this is how it will be for many cycles, after you both leave the bay and head back into the eye. You will both hold things for each other, remind each other of the choices you made, remind each other why it's important to keep going despite the moments where it seems impossible. You keep each other going. That support will be vital when the second flux event hits the eye, when it knocks the entire free-spoke off the power grid, making the whole station alert with a sickening motion, when it cripples systems and corrupts processes, leading sections of the station to go dark, to start venting oxygen. When holding on, it's all you can do while the world seems to come apart around you. And yet somehow the eye will persist. Systems will resist total collapse in ways that will seem inexplicable to many. But to you and Peak, they will signal the awakening of a new force within the station. That new force will bring in with it new challenges and new possibilities in equal measure. Strange growth will be reported all around the station in the wake of the flux event. Fungal crust pushing through pipes and wiring. The ice will go wild and vacant, become a station of increasing unpredictability, prone to a seasonal rhythm of spore clouds and sudden growth spurts. There will be a strange and unsettling beauty to this paradigm shift, as the greening of the station turns it from corporate ruin to some altogether new semblance of biological and mechanical structures. Riku will take on this challenge with energy that seems impossible for her age, and until her final day she will delight in new mysteries on the ice and the garden of produce. And in this new era, as this new era consolidates around the station, you'll find yourself in the battalion, most cycles working keeping the place alive. The cycles where you invite Empress to come make use of the kitchen will go from an one-off event to a regular occurrence, and soon the battalion will be filled with spacers eager to try the best preparations of the station's now abundant mushrooms. And on occasion, after long shift at the battalion, you will hear the sounds of the staring mule to you crumble up some food of the stray mewling at you, will crumble up some food and sit and watch the cat eat, as if it's the only thing in your world that matters. However, into all this newness, the bad old ways will still intrude. Zenitstadt, frustrated by the ice's resilience, will begin to send more physical threats, and supply ships and traders will suddenly stop arriving, stopped by a blockade of corporate militia. Life on the eye will be punctuated by wide channel broadcasts from Zenitstadt stating legal precedences and quoting deeds of ownership, staking claim on the system. Meanwhile, Havenach helplines will fizzle out, losing their grip on the Havenach Council. On their wake, Helen will spearhead the series of reforms that will scale back Havenach's overreach, returning them to the caretaker role they had always intended to fulfill. As the cycles roll on and the threats gather, new broadcasts will join them, sent by Conway extractions, making counterclaims on assets within the Helios system, and many on the eye will grow quiet, losing their appetite for debating these political machinations, as they tilt inexorably towards a corporate war. And ever on the eye will spin, growing now in strange ways, haunted by strange new growth, and hosting cultures of increasing resilience. As the Helios system descends into crisis, you will find comfort in the fungal patterns, the familiar conversation, the spices and the smells that will accumulate around you as your body continues its unavoidable decay. They settle around you like a veil, and in time it will be impossible to see the eye without seeing its many variants and versions, past and potential futures. And this masking of the world will mark your approaching end. And one cycle far from now, that accumulation of memories, of taste, of people and places, and moments will be the last thing you let go of. But for now, there's only you and Peak, arms around each other, walking slowly out of the bay. Two figures born of crippled systems linked together, continuing despite your origins. And in this frozen moment, you focus only on the next steps, because that's the only way you have learned to persist. And to persist is to believe that a future, any future at all, is possible. That was beautiful. And honestly, I'm happiest that, yes, there is a way to form a new colony, but the thing is, systems will always follow. Systems will always take claim. Things will always take all of things. Whether that happens in the time where we are traveling there, or after our time passes, it will happen. And we already have found a place here. We have found friends here, enemies, people to protect, people to fight against. And we fought for so many things. We made friends with so many systems and people. I just think it is more than a worthwhile thing to stay. And, you know, with like the eye like growing into it is, it's also protecting us, helping us as a sleeper with the stabilizer. So even though our body is slowly decaying, breaking apart, there's still a chance for us, you know, to have like at least the normal life cycle of a human, or maybe a bit longer even, and to help other people out, to help ourselves out, to help our friends out, you know. And that's the beauty in this, and that's why I stayed, because, you know, it welcomed us in a different way than any other place has after all. Like, they could have completely killed us off as a sleeper there. We didn't have a place there, but we found one in the end. And although some of the people we knew left, and left for good, and I'm sure they will be happy, I really hope Mina gets to see the new colony grow and touch actual ground. And that it won't take too many decades. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the best for all people. But man, this game is beautiful. I love the story. Like, even like the constraint of like the cycles, you really have like this thing of urgency. First you start off with like menial things, like the basic things of trying to survive, trying to get the stabilizer before you completely fall apart, then trying to get rid of the people that follow you, the people that want to get rid of you, trying to find a way to go against that, trying to find a way to get rid of the killer and hunter in the system so the system can move freely, trying to help the people on the Greenway, trying to make connections there, trying to help the Yatanga people be free of the clutches of their higher-ups that have sneaked in. And then further into like helping another lives, like building the Sideway Horizon, helping Lem go onto that journey on it. Helping uncover some Havanage stuff that didn't go well from the old corrupt systems. Helping, you know, the refugees now, and then like completely helping people in the gardens. Helping people that pass by, people that stay. I think it's beautifully made. I really love it. I had like no expectations going into this game. I just saw, okay, it's a story-based game, yeah, whatever. Sounded interesting. RPG, sure, why not? But honestly, I fell in love with this. I have to say, this like story-based game is now become one of my favorite games. And I love that we get an announcement for Citizen Sleeper 2. This will likely take a little while. But yeah, I love this game, honestly. I think it's a great game to make, and if you're like into story-based games, it's definitely a thing. I'm not sure if we could have ever saved the Sleeper on the other thing, because our choices make differences, clearly. Maybe we could have, maybe we couldn't, but we went the path we went, and I'm happy with that. Maybe at some point I will like personally replay it, but you know, for now I'm really content with the way we chose and the outcome. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did. I mean, hopefully that's why you stuck around. And I hope that at least some of you might be interested in actually picking up this game and trying it. And when Citizen Sleeper 2 is actually there, I am very likely gonna play it. Though I may wait a while till after the release, considering they may be doing like things like they did here with like the add-on of stories. But we shall see. But yeah, anyways, the next game I will play is the continuation of Professor Layton, with technically the last game in the series, but we then have some crossover and some like mini games that are kind of in the series, kind of not, that I'm also gonna play. But again, end of the year is gonna be when the new game comes out. No specific date yet, but you know, whatever. So, likely around the time when the Pokemon game also comes out, it will be a bit of a weird situation. Maybe, hopefully before that, hopefully, or directly after, so that we have time to play both and not scramble between them two. But yeah, plan is now Professor Layton and the Aswell Legacy, which is again the last story-based game in the Professor Layton series when it comes to like the full story, so to speak. Because the new game will play in between things that happen. Technically, like after Luke goes to America, so technically after the events in time. You know, with the time traveling machine, the unknown future. There we go. That took a while for my brain. Because technically that's the last game, like story-based wise in the story. But yeah, Astro Legacy is gonna be the next game we're gonna start on Sunday. But on Thursday I'm gonna do something. Have I planned yet what I'm gonna do? I don't know, maybe I'm gonna start on a new box. Maybe I'm gonna crochet something, maybe I'm gonna draw something, maybe I'm gonna 3D model something. I really haven't decided yet, it really depends on like things I haven't sculpted in a while, and maybe I'm gonna sculpt something. That would also be nice to just, you know, make something. Maybe even something from this game, that could be a nice challenge, though I don't know what to make yet. But yeah, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm not gonna rate out, I don't really feel like rating out to anybody else at the moment. You know, just after this game. Normally I would, but in this case I feel like, you know, I don't wanna like... I don't have the energy after this long time of streaming to like be in chat with somebody else or like, you know, rate somebody else. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Let the game sink in. Enjoy how it ended. But yeah, I hope to see you all back on Thursday for again some crafting. And see you around eventually. Maybe we can make like a drone, like a drone as like a sculpture or a model. That is like, you know, kind of like the drones accompanying some of the Havanage and some of the other stuff, but like catered to us. Maybe even with like a thing of like foxy appearance or something. I think that would be amazing, you know. Just to have our little own little part in this game, but kind of with our own little twist. But yeah, we shall see. I'm gonna figure out tomorrow how I'm gonna do things. But yeah, hope you'll enjoy the rest of your evening, or morning and afternoon, nighttime. If you have to sleep now, hope you can rest well. And have a good day tomorrow. Anyway, see you all around. Bye bye.